Okay, now I'm live for real this time. Hang on just a second. Greetings and blessings to all y'all out there. Oh, crime internetly. Oh, it's giving me a problem with the rotation again. So, but anyway, here I sit, trying to get this thing regulated, and took me 43 seconds to do it. So, greetings and blessings to all of you out there. I can video what? Hey hippie, let me do something. Can you see? Do I look sideways or upside down? Am I right side up or am I sideways? Oh, good. It says that I'm wrong. It says orientation is locked. Rotate device back. Well, so anyway, and now I can see you all too. There's enough space on the screen over here. I'm still looking at my my computer screen, and the thing is still going round and round and round. Oh yeah, look at my beard. Oh my God. I had to put this thingy on it because it was so full that when I sneezed or my nose ran, it was, snot was getting all in my beard here. I was like, this is no good. I looked at myself in the dang mirror today and I was full, and I'm like, holy crap. I look like some homeless guy, But so anyway, I've tried to get this and I had to take the number out, by the way. My original topic for this particular discussion was why did 44,000 walk away or not return? Meaning 44,000 government workers are supposed to be out there somewhere. And it's like, a week ago, people were freaking out 44,000, and these people, and, and then Elon set the email out, to write down 5 things that you did to kind of prove that you're still out there. And people are going crazy. And oh, I was so distraught when I got it. This one young chick just would like to figuratively slap her. Like, get a brain, will you? So, but anyway, the idea though that they estimated, hey William, no, I did not. See Dante video saying he died in February. No, I did not. The only thing I know that there have been rumors of his demise many times over the 10 12 years I've been or more actually. I told y'all he was getting his wings. Yeah, that too, Chloe. He's upgrading. Yep. And one of these days we'll all be upgrading at some point. But the thing the last week was the 44,000 anticipated, um, workers that would not, for some reason, wouldn't come back to work. Hey, John, how are you? Blueberry Muffins. Ooh. Oh, hey, Witch Moon, how are you? No, interesting. This afternoon, I went live with the computer and it worked. Now, the thing is still going round and round and round thinking about it. But I guess I should probably put an end to that. So it's really weird why YouTube doesn't want me to, post a video. And I think because on that title it says 44,000. And as soon as I hit going live, it just went wacko. Yeah, I was just saying hi basically, but it allowed me to get on just no problem. So in checking here with the cell phone, which gives me for some reason easier ways to look at certain settings, I looked at one of my last videos, two videos back, and YouTube didn't delete it. They just refused to make it public. Did you hear me? I did a live stream just like I always do. So if you, I'm on my cell phone. So if you did not see the live stream, even though it's recorded and even though it's sitting in my queue in the dashboard on the dashboard of my car, plastic Jesus, sitting on the dashboard of my car. I don't care if it rains or freezes, as long as I got my plastic Jesus sitting on the dashboard of my car. Anyway, so YouTube, if they don't like it, won't allow it to go up. So it says, we didn't give me a reason or anything, but the title says it all. And I was like, that just sucks. Was that the video an hour before Bob's? I don't know. But what time is it? It's 12:56, almost 1 a.m. here in the morning time, here on the East Coast of the United States of America. And to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Yeah, it's time to party. I'm looking for my bowl. There it is. So the 44,000. And now I'm still being censored on YouTube. What? What in the hell have I said that is so disgustingly something that they would not allow my video to go up? I like that. Jethro Ball. In the shuffling madness of the locomotive breath. That's a all-time loser, headlong to his death. Oh, he feels the piston scraping, steam breaking on his brow. Old Charlie stole the handle, and the train, it won't stop going, nowhere to slow down. So, but anyway, ooh, that was a good one. Contemplating 44,000 people. Now, there are not 44,000 people in the whole county that I live in. Okay. So that's one thing. 44,000 people who got a job with the government because they're on the rolls, right? 44,000 people have decided not to go back to work. What? You applied for a job that you wanted, apparently, to work for the government, you know. It's not a one hitter. It's a pipe that I'm only a single person. I don't let it keep burning, but it's a mini burner. it's more than one. Um, but the fact that, they all went home during COVID. They all have had however many years that they were hired, paid, right? I'm sure that if they were really doing good work, they could go back to the government and go, hey, wait, maybe you shouldn't have fired me. But then I would ask, so why did you fill in that 5 questions or, fill in 5 things on that email I sent you? Oh, water piping in. So, but even though that email that we sent you was, disgraceful and distasteful and all those other kind of words, and you decided, wait, I'm not going to do any of that. Okay. All right. But you have been being paid. You have a job. You don't got to go looking for one. You have a job. All you got to do is show back up. All you got to do is show back up. It didn't say gonna have to wade through the swamp to get there, although that's probably what will happen. So, for the people out there defending the 44,000 estimated, shut up. Shut up. They have a job. All they got to do is go back to work. All they got to do is go back to the office. Do you know how many people would love to have a government job that they have been being paid for while they were at the house? To say, well, Margaret, I reckon the gid's up. The jig is up. You know that thing. Anyway, I'm going to have to drive to work tomorrow. They want to know 5 things that I did last week. Can I put that we fornicated on the? Oh, don't you dare say anything like that. Well, that was the day I got my check, and we pointed. Shut up with that answer. Don't you dare write that down. Okay. So all you got to do is write down 5 things and hit send or return or, 44,000 people decided to say F you. What? Now, I have absolutely zero compassion for these people. I'm sorry. The times that I spent over the years trying to get a job at all that paid anything, and the years that I suffered along with my family because I didn't make enough money. I had to work 2 jobs, which kept me, out late at night, and on the weekends couldn't do just weekend stuff. I was always working for somebody else. And Then when I hurt my back and got disabled and hurt my head, my neck, the government said, well, we can't pay you, what? And then after I did finally get my disability after 5 years, they decided not to give me my full benefits because government had changed their mind about Social Security, and they had changed the rules and regulations. And that was about the time they started allowing the migrants to get on Social Security. So I'm like, here I am, a normal American, fighting for what I've already paid into the system, and the system changed their mind. I'm not going to get as much as I should because they changed the rules. And now, which means they stole from me and others. I'm not the only one now. They stole from all us baby boomers. Okay. I've talked about this before, but they stole from all us baby boomers. And like 25% of what we should have got, at least 25%. Okay. I should have been getting 25% more than I am getting now for the last 15 years. Add that one up. So with interest and back pay, which I'm so glad that I'm not disagreeing with some of the things that Trump is doing. I'm scratching my head and going, wonder what what part of the puzzle piece this is. So, but anyway, and these folks have been at home working, doing God knows whatever what, because apparently the supervisors are not there either. So if they are working, what are they doing? And where is the supervisor to check up on their work? Because I've worked in many places, in the last one as an engineer. I had the boss of bosses come by and stare over my shoulder and go, what you working on? Yeah, well, your reports due at the end of the week. Yes, sir, boss man. And make sure you include how much money that program saved us. Yes, sir, boss man. And off he'd go back to his office. So he didn't stand over me, but he came by and checked. He came by and gave me directions. You will have that report to me on Friday, right? Yes, sir. Okay. You will have this. Yes, sir, boss man. So it's expected of me as to what I need to do as part of my job title, right? And so these folks, some of them, is what I understand, don't have a job. If they have a job title, what are you doing? Now, that's not a hard question. That should be fairly simple. What did you get hired for? Are you a secretary? Okay, put secretary on this line right there. Okay, so I was hired secretary. What is your job? Okay, what about you, sir? I'm hired as a maintenance man. Well, put maintenance man right there on that line. And what about what's hard to be a maintenance man working at home, ain't it? What do you maintain, sir? Go to a nudist colony? They frown on working in the office naked. Yeah, it's called, more than casual Fridays. Hey, buddy, there's something sticking out of your shorts. Ooh, that's an anaconda. Never mind. So, but the government, those folks before, have allowed this to happen and to go on. So, but these 44,000 plus or minus have decided not to prove that they work. Hey, Steve, how are you? Blessings to you and a big giant hug. So we as consumers, we as the folks that are paying their bills, we as the the congregation of the United States, David is getting $11.2 million from NESARA, GESARA, and possibly billions from Strawman. You know, I still get emails from the Irishman. Okay, I can't think. I can't think of his name right now. I can see his face and him sit there, but you know, the Irishman. You know the. Uh, yeah, I've got some slip coin you can get. It's some coin that slipped right through my fingers. Slip coin, yeah. But you know, the Irishman says, all I need is just a little bit of money in order to get the rest of the money. Now, this has been like a week or so ago, right? And I'm like, he's still at it? You know, and then NESARA, GESARA, it's all, and it'll be here within like 2 weeks. Well, it's been 2 weeks. But ain't nothing out there. Nobody's talking. And 3 years ago, they told me this thing was going down. But 3 years or so before that, they said it was coming down. That they had all these people and all this stuff, and that they had this thing, and it was, you know, and Ronald Reagan had set it aside, and this person did this, and they had all the information locked out. They had all the stuff with the, you know, the different banks. They had all the money, you know, they had all the receipts for it. That was about 7 years ago. It's been going more than that, Scotty boy. That's my point. Because when I got onto it about 7 years ago ish, it's probably longer than that, it had already been going on for like 15 years or more. And I'm like, what? Because it went back into the 90s, right? And NESARA, GESARA, and then they combined the both, and then did this, and somebody else took it over. And then there were pictures of money and this. It is like, okay, so where to go? Where to go? Where is it? If Ronald Reagan had signed all these papers and everything, that this was going to happen and that there was money put back for something and it was only going to go to this and that and everything, you know, it's like, okay, bullshit. All right, guys, where is it? Well, it was already on the books and there were billions and billions and billions of dollars to be passed out to people for, okay, that's a great idea. Where is it? What about all those things for Zimbabwe? Did anybody get rich off of that? How many billionaires? Oh, yeah, Scotty boy. It actually went back further than that. It started somewhere in the 80s with Ronald Reagan in the 80s. Yes. So it started out with Ronald Reagan, okay, and went underground. But it started with Ronald Reagan. They claim, okay. So that's how far back that goes. So NESARA, GESARA was one of his babies, going to say people, blah, 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 and so started back then. Well, I could see why it wouldn't get promoted because, you know, the vice president to him, you know, was a Nazi sympathizer, you know, George W. Bush, and, you know, started the one world order, you know, with his speech. I can still see his face on the TV. I watched it live and I was like, oh my God, we are in such deep doo-doo. And you know, and so many of us voted for the Arkansas guy and to make sure that we didn't have another term with George W. Sr., you know. And it was weird that we got his son 8 years later, but that's how the cookie crumbled. Or actually 9/11. That was such an inside job. Anyway, so here's all this stuff been going on. GESARA NESARA back then, right? 80s. And now it's finally, let's see, 90, 2020, 30, almost 50 years. You know, it's going on, 45 years that, hey, I got one sitting right here. The that money's supposed to be sitting there. That money's supposed to be, doled out. This money's supposed to be, and so I don't know. Here's my thing about the folks who are trying to run this. Okay. I can't remember the Irishman's name, the one that got sick and he almost died of this and that. Anyway, so he's like, I gotta have more money to get it out. I gotta have all I need is some money to do some kind of transaction or something. It's like, what the fudge? What the fudge? You said this like a year or so ago. We are this close, he said. By the end of the year, well, the year's ended, we ended 25 already. So what do they say now? But we are this close. We are this close. So somebody asked me previously, what do you think of the NESARA GESARA? And I said, oh, it could still be possible. It could still be real. Because the gentleman I heard 25 years ago who described all of the steps and where everything had been taken and where this had been put over here and he was very succinct in what was going on and where things went and so forth like that. And so it's like, but after that, it got really fuzzy. But up to that point, he had receipts. I can't remember his name, but I just know that he was very concise with his information and had receipts. So now folks are bringing it back up. Oh, the Sarah GESARA is going to be coming out any minute now. What did you? Oh, I've only been waiting 25 years. Had 2 heart attacks. Oh, God Almighty. Oh. So if you believe that, I got a swamp I want to sell you. Price keeps going up. But Tony something. How corrupt are Kentucky turtles? I don't know. Depends on what kind. Are they snapping turtles? Are they loggerheads? Are they are they the big round ones? But anyway. They're just they're just turtles. I just remember what got me tongue tied on the name of the turtle is I looked down, looked off of the bridge. It's been 15 years ago now, but was standing on the bridge looking down into the water, and this freaking turtle is big around, a soft shell. There you go. This turtle, this big around, just swims under the bridge. Oh, in about this much water, by the way. It was nutso. So every time we talk about turtles, my brain goes to seeing that one, and also the big, giant, snapping turtle that we caught that one time too. It tried to eat its way through my canoe. Is that why my canoe's got a little hole in it? I'm about to get baked. Yeah. Oh, we got a 20 coming up, don't we? Okay, I'm gonna shut up for a minute. But so anyway, the 44,000, what still comes across my mind, and I'm just, me, I'm kind of venting what are, turtle soup is really tasty. I've not had it any other way, by the way. But so many people would just say, nope, I ain't going back. Nope. Now, my reasoning clicked in. Well, it ain't really reasoning. I was like, why would people not show back up to work? You've been, yep, that's what I was thinking, John. That you've been paid for the last several years. You've not been forced to do anything except send in 5 things. You haven't had to come to work, all right? Why would you not go back to work? Was your job so minimal and so boring that you said, fudge, why should I go back to the office for this? You know, to get a paycheck. Or maybe I had a boss man or woman or something that I didn't like. Well, here's the thing. What if they don't show back up to work? And what if you are the only one in your division to show back up for work? And the boss man, the big boss man, comes in and goes, so you're the only one here, huh? All right, you're now the executive supervisor. Come with me. What? So you have just pushed yourself physically into the top whatever because they have physically seen you come into the office and physically have showed up and say, I still want to work. I still want to work. I'm here, boss. And they go, come with me. You're fixing to be a general. You are no longer a private. You are generals, General Scotty Boy, And there's Vice Chairman, Elderberry. 20. So these stupid ass 44,000 people, where I haven't heard if any of them have showed up, but we'll find out. But that lady that went into the office building, I think was education. And she goes in there and she's walking down an aisle of, little cubicles on either side, and she gets down to the ends and turns around and you can see it. Then the camera pans on her and she goes, there's nobody here. These offices are empty, and all we would like to do is have the workers come back to work. It's like, what? So if one person, because the head of the department is standing there, if one person comes in the next day and goes, gee, I can't remember which desk is mine, but I'm here, and they go, what? You actually showed up to work? Yes, ma'am. Well, come with me. We have work to do. And the next thing you know, you're in charge of something big, where before you just might have been a secretary, So of these 44,000 people, there are 44,000 idiots. Why would you not take advantage of this situation? Why, under this new regime of folks, wouldn't you want to show up and go, hey, here I am? I don't care whether you like the guy orange hair or whatever. The guy, he don't have orange hair anymore. It's just white. But anyway, but why would you not show up? Why wouldn't you go up? Here I go. Because here, dingbat, if you're not getting that government paycheck and it ceases to exist in the very near future because you're an idiot and don't answer emails, so that dries up quickly. Now, I hope that the job that you've been doing on the side will support you through the next 100 years, right? Because your opportunity to get another job with the federal government just went down the tubes. Why? You did not show up for work, period. So should we rehire you? No. Now, if you show up to work and prove I still get a paycheck and I still work here, you go to the head of the line for being saved and for having possibly a really decent job, not some kind of scurry-burry stuff, okay? Scurry-burry, and I don't know where that come from. But scurrying around trying to find something and burying it, scurry-burry anyway. So 44,000 idiots. Why would you walk away from it? Now, so the walkaway portion of this, I can see where a portion of the workers for internal revenue, okay, and somebody in the internal revenue has been, they've been putting fines on people. Where does that money for the fines go? It goes back to the IRS. But what if there's a couple of idiots sitting in an office going, hey, come on, dude, because they're the IRS. They can hack their own system. So they can say that David Knoll owes them, let's say 10 grand. Okay, David Knoll, you owe the IRS $10,000. And, why can you settle for a third of that? Well, because you don't really owe them. But, we'll settle for, 2,000, 2,500. But you really owe us 10,000, but so here you go. And so these two jerks sitting in the office at the IRS go here, so they split the check, right? And you go, well, that's absurd, Dave. Is it? There's 44,000 people who've been getting paid for the last 3 years or so, or more, who have not showed up to work at their office and who refuse to come in now. And you go and you say, well, Dave, that's a conspiracy that people at the IRS could really be stealing from you, right? That would be like embezzlement or fraud or something. Here's the thing, you don't know. We don't know. So what if somebody at a place to get the money in and they go, okay, no, we're going to send this money out. But now Elon found a bunch of checks and a bunch of stuff that there was $10,000 sent to, but there's no reason why it was sent. There's nothing in the explanation column. What was this for? Here's $10,000, for cash. Here you go. But where's it? Who to go to and what's it for? It's all blank. So they're already doing that. So you're telling me they can't make up a false, send me a check to this number here? They're already doing this, right? Somehow I knew you were going there. What? Mr. Boy, especially when I... So, there are folks going, oh, well, that kind of stuff can't happen. Or, those folks wouldn't do that. Or those, oh, bullshit. There are guys in the armed services who are stealing guns and selling them to the cartels because they want to make money. Not because they think the cartels are great or anything, but because they're greedy. There are people who help the fentanyl come across the borders, north and south, because they're greedy. Greed. They want to make money. They want to make a bunch of money. It's greed. Oh, well, that doesn't really happen. Oh, yes, it does. Oh, yes, it does. and some of the most bodacious, awfulest black market firing pins. There's all kinds of black market stuff that are traded. Now, having been in jail for a year, there were things that got into the building that was like, how did you get that in here? you know, how did you? No, seriously. I'm working in the kitchen and I got free reign in the place. How the hell did you get that in here? Well, we snuck it to the thing and the blah, 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 blah. And I had a la, 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 and the guard looked the other way. And so the penitentiaries that got folks, they got heroin, you can do all these different drugs and things and stuff in prison, Now, it wasn't like that in where I was at. But the fact that there was anything coming in was, you know, from a prisoner's point of view, right? So from the inside looking out, shit like that's happening all the time. So standing on the outside, you go, well, that's a prison. Yeah, you know how many millions of dollars of drugs are going through that prison every year? Oh my God, but it's a prison, Dave. I know. So you say, well, these kinds of things can't happen. Yeah, they can. And they have been. So, but the 44,000, though, I found that number to be kind of odd. Isn't 44,000 connected with the Bible? 44,000? But 20 years for weed and 2 years for meth. Yep. Did you see the interview with one of my favorite senators, Senator Kennedy from Louisiana? And he's like, here's a bag of fentanyl, represents and for this bag right here, you will get 10 years. But there's enough in this bag to kill every man, woman, and child in Connecticut, And you see this bag here, and it's only, an ounce or something of fentanyl. And, you could get 5 years for this. And you see this bag here, there is a trace, there's a couple of grams of, not methanol, but any, other drug, and you'll get 10 years minimum for this much in the bag. And he looks at the Congress and he goes, don't you think that's a little, the proportions are a little off? Here's this, it's still a bad drug, but you got like 15 grams of this and you get 10 years. You got, a pound of fentanyl and you get 10 years. Where there's a little bit of this drug over here is only going to hurt one person. This, pound bag of fentanyl is going to kill thousands of people. So how can you say that if you're caught with that much fentanyl, that you should only get 10 years? You should get life or death because of what that big bag represents. How many people on it, addiction, murder, and suicide, and and you're going to be responsible for all of that. So death. Now, President Trump says, want to bring back the death penalty on the federal level for drugs and that type of thing. So I'm like, yeah. So one of the things I'm totally against, all right. So they got this guy that was a rapist, okay, from another country. He's been detained, okay. Now he's been charged 3 times in this country with rape. I don't know where he comes from. It's, Guatemala somewhere. And so they argue. Okay, so now they're not going to turn them loose. So they have turned them loose on the street 3 times. I think this is around Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, somewhere up in there, Maryland or something. This is an actual case, right? So on the 3rd time they turned this guy loose, raped again, raped a person again. Just, why did you turn him up? Well, he's from another country. We don't have jurisdiction over this person because they're from another country. Well, that's plumb bullshit. Okay. All right. Okay. So you don't have jurisdiction. So now you're going to send a 3-time rapist here from the United States back to whatever country they came from. So that this person could potentially rape another woman or man, maybe, I don't know. But on the way back to Colombia, why don't you open the back door of that airplane and toss that motherfucker out? He does not deserve to be in the plane when that plane lands. 3 rapes we know of, and he gets a free ride back to wherever to possibly do it again or to be let out of jail or not. What it, when he gets off the plane, wherever it is, what is your charge, sir? This would be like, going to the gates, pearly gates. What did you do? You raped 3 different women. Bend over. Why? Just bend over. And while he's looking at his ass to see what's coming, you chop that mofo's head off. Right about there. Just stunk. And end that bugger's life. But you're going to send them back to potentially turn them loose to be able to rape another child or woman. Just, I know it's the humane thing to do. Now, here is my secret wish that everybody's going to know now. My secret wish is that they're illegal. They're crusty, nasty buggers. They have, assaulted people, raped people, the list. And among other things, but, they're headed out of here. And they're headed for Guantanamo Bay. Do they have to leave Guantanamo Bay? The reports say, yep, we sent him back to Colombia. Yeah. Juan Suarez, yeah, we sent him back, yeah. Positive, yeah, we took it, and they put him on a plane and off he went. We don't know where Juan Suarez is now. Shark bait off of the coast of the Bahamas. But, we were fishing for great whites, and but he just kind of sort of fell overboard with hooks in his arms and legs. He was screaming as he went, but he said he could swim. So, but anyway, I know that's rude and crude and everything, but so what's more rude and crude than a man who has raped women, young girls, and potentially do it again? What is greater in the grand scheme of things? Oh, let's put him in prison for a couple of years and then turn him loose. Oh, let's just turn him loose now and let him, be the rapist. Or why don't we shove him out the back of this airplane at about 10,000 feet and see what kind and see how he hits the ocean. Can he swim? You know, will he go splat when he hits the water? Will there be sharks in the neighborhood to, dispose of? Will there? So you say, what is right? What's wrong? Tossing this reprobate out the window of an airplane, or allowing him to go back on the street since he's already done 3 young women, to potentially do some more. What is more morally right or morally correct? What should society say? I don't like violence, and but I have been in prison with some of these mofo types. They're beyond reprobate, okay? If they will rape a woman, they are animalistic to that. I'm going to do it at any cost. There is a level of creepiness in that person to do the act for which they do. And you're going to potentially allow them to go back into any societal way? No. They are disqualified, in my humble opinion. You have just disqualified yourself from the human population. 1, maybe we could forgive. 2's like 3 of them things, and you want to do another? And you're like, and if you get out of jail, you're going to find somebody else to pick out and go do that to again? I mean, it's 4:20 past. Yeah, John. Yeah, I'm gonna shut up and hit this again. But so, people talk about, what's morally correct, but they will defend the person in jail before they'll stand up for the people who were, demoralized humanity. You know what I mean? So that has got to change. I'm sorry, that's got to change. There is a point where, yes, I'm very sympathetic to people. Yes, I was an alcohol and a drug addict. Can people have second chances? Can you do better? Can you? Yes, but not rapists who continually do it, and not when you turn them loose on the street again. What? Assault and battery on women and all these, he beat up a child and killed it. I mean, what? Let's turn him loose. Yeah, no, what you need to do, I've told this story before, and I'll tell it right now because it's kind of sort of appropriate. There was a child molester and his wife. He was molesting this like 4-year-old girl, the woman's daughter, from a previous marriage, right? And he was forcing himself on her, on a girl. And then we got partied a little too much and tried to vaginally, do it, and it wasn't big enough for him. So he took his pocket knife out and slit this little girl until he could put his thing inside of her, which then killed her. Which then the mother was so distraught that they took her out back and buried her along the fence line, the property line. Well, nobody noticed that the little girl was missing until about 10 days later. when the neighborhood dog dug the little girl up and was like dragging her down the sidewalk kind of thing. So they arrested him and her. When the folks at the jail found out who he was and what he had done, that, the prosecuting attorneys were like, put him in solitary confinement so nobody hurts him. And so he can't hurt himself. And so, I'm on the second floor and the office is right below us. And we can hear stuff, through stovepipes and things, you can hear stuff. So we're listening in and we're like, what are they going to do to that some bitch, right? So then the bigwig leaves. And then the captain of the watch says, "Well, Jonesy, do we have any of those solitary cells empty?" Now, as somebody who has mopped floors on that floor where solitary confinement is, there's always 3 open. They never have filled all of the solitary confinements, because if there's a fight or something in the jail and they need to separate people, so they always keep a couple solitary confinement cells open. Okay. So knowing this, they go, no, sir, Captain, they's all filled up. Oh, well, that's a shame there, Jonesy. You say they're all filled up? Yes, sir, boss man. Well, where do you think we ought to put this prevert? Well, boss man, since ain't no, compounds there, we should put him on the second floor, on the, down on the wing on the second. Yeah, Jonesy, that's a good idea. Down where all them murderers are. Yes, sir, boss man. You put him in that E block down there. Yes, sir, boss man. That take good care of him. That protect him. Good idea, Jonesy. So the next thing you know, they're toting this guy up the second floor, down the hall. Cell blocks on either side, steel doors. You can't see nothing but steel doors and concrete on both sides. I still have nightmares. But you go down to the E block, which is like the last one on the left. And in there are some of the nastiest, grossest, pig fucking sons of bitches you'll ever want to not meet. Okay. And so they throw him in that cell. And they rape that man all night long. And we lived on the 3rd floor. And it echoed all the steel and concrete stuff echoes. Oh, it was Group W. Oh, man. No, the folks in that cell block were like the guards from Nuremberg that were, at Auschwitz. Now these were people off the street who had done heinous crimes, and robberies and killings and stabbings and knifings and, but when it comes to doing the kind of rape and thing that was done by this gentleman. And so the fact that they threw him in that cell block, that, they were like, "No, sir, boss man, I would have testified that all of those, single cells were filled, I'm sorry, sir, but there was no more solitary confinement cells that day. They were all filled up." How do you know? Because I was in the last one on the left. Oh, well, thank you, sir. You know, there are a bunch of prisoners who would have, even though we don't like turnkeys, we hate sons of bitches that was put into jail like that. Robbery, murder, shootings, stabbings. Okay, you know, but anything to do with a child or like a woman and a child, but a child, other convicts do not like that. Now, there have been people who make those kinds of comments, and people say, no, it ain't true. Let me tell you, I lived in that jail for a year, and I have heard what goes on. I have seen what goes on. And yes, it's true, Margaret. You know, that kind of stuff does go on. Should we, how can we punish this 3-time offender? Put him in a cell block with a bunch of horny, you know, killers. Let's take care of him. Give him something to remember. So how can we punish this man? Put him back in there. Well, he just went to court and he's got another. What are you going to do with this guy? Going to put him back in there. Is he getting any justice? Well, you know, while he's finding justice, we're going to put him back in there. You know, solitary confinement. Oh, yes, sir, Judge. It's solitary confinement, you know, but he's got to go through population for 12 hours. And then we put him in solitary. Well, that's very good of you, Sergeant. you what? Yeah, we put him in population for 12 hours, cycling through. It's what we do to all prisoners. No. Yeah. But to the point though, the warden is a person who can regulate what goes on, you know, but the warden goes home at 5 o'clock, you know, and then there's the captain of the watch. And then there are the sergeants and corporals and a lieutenant or two on each floor, each cell block area, each, you know, is in charge. And that turnkey can go down there with another turnkey and get Mr. Jones out and put him down there. But you've seen the movies. Does that really happen? Mm-hmm. But in the jail I was in, they didn't take you out at night and put you down there. No, they just put you down there and left you there, you know. But back to the basic point, which is more, which socially, morally, which is better? To take the guy out or to try to rehabilitate him and put him back in society? Take him out. Oh, well, how are we going to do it? Well, you know, we're going to, you know, take him to Gitmo. And then what? We're going to take him out. How are you going to do it? You know, a bullet costs like a dime. I'm sorry. Kneel down. Or you can stand up. We'll tie you to a post over there and put you to an honest to God firing squad, make it kind of sort of legal. But, you know, you could probably sell tickets to certain ones. And you say, Dave, what do you mean? You could sell tickets and say, for $1,000 a piece, and we need 5, okay? At $1,000 a piece, you can buy a ticket to be on one of the men on the firing squad. What? Yep. You want to see what it's like to shoot a human being? Bring $1,000. We supply the gun. and some practice shots. But when it comes time for the execution, you're going to be one of the five guys, one of the five, shooters. Really? Yeah. So for every guy that you get rid of, you could make 5 grand, or 10. You could charge them 2,000. You could charge them 5,000 a person. And there are sportsmen, people, crazies who would pay that money to go and be on the firing squad. What? So, this could be a moneymaker. you know, they're illegal citizens. They have committed crimes, not just against, but against humanity, really. They are terrorists. That guy that did 3 women, he terrorized them as he raped them. They will be terrorized the rest of their life. This is not like, oh, they're going to forget it one day. No. I still remember my rape. I'd rather not, but, it's still there. How do you take that away? You don't. So this guy ruined 3 lives, along with their, what he did to them, but has ruined them from that day forward. So he deserves to live at all under any circumstances, unless he's chained to a wall and he's being eaten by fire ants, that could be a good deal, being like the Indians and stake him out on the ground over an ant bed. That could work, it still wouldn't make up for all the trauma, but it would be a good pinch, So, but what is more morally right? So there are the folks who say, "Oh, save the man," "Oh, we need to," we'll just turn him loose back out, and we're gonna, make excuses so we don't incarcerate this person because he's from another country, and because he's not an American, we don't have jurisdiction over this person. Good. Then nobody's going to care if we toss him out the back of this airplane. We don't have jurisdiction. So, which means it doesn't matter what anybody does. We don't have jurisdiction. Toss. you know, they did that to some folks in Vietnam, toss them out the side of a helicopter. And back then it was like, oh my God, you did what? Or oh my God, and blah, 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 blah. Oh my God. But, to somebody who has done that to 3 different women under any circumstances and the trauma that he created, he deserves one thing: to go head first out the back of a C-30 or 20 or whatever with no parachute, you know. Now, I suggest the ocean so the marine life can gobble up the remains. There's no burial, there's no memorial, there's nobody can say, oh my God, they tortured this guy. No, we didn't torture him. We just tossed him out of an airplane. you know, on the way down, he was going, splat, okay. But that didn't last near as long as what he did to 3 women. Now, cut it out. So what is equal? The president is talking about, trade. Reciprocity. Reciprocal anyway. Uh Reciprocal, What does that mean? Well, you know, if in the old days, you want to go down this road and take a shortcut to town, it's going to cost you $1, like a toll road, right? We still do that today. So, you get a toll road. Okay. Ow. Oh, that hurt. Oh, oh, oh. Ooh. Wait. toll road, and I forgot where I was going with that. Ow, sharp pain. Ooh, wee. No, Chloe, I did not take my meds yet. Ouch. But I didn't get to my meds this afternoon until 3 o'clock because I had to go to town to get them. And they still didn't have one. So, it's supposed to be every 12 hours. So if I take them now, I'm still an hour early. But anyway, um, they're spending all this money on different programs, and they're the wrong programs. They want to rehabilitate the murderer. Okay, he's a thief. Did he hurt anybody? No. Did he use a gun or a weapon? No. What did he do? Well, he swipes and stuff and blah, blah, blah. Okay. So he's a thief. He's not a murderer or a pedophile no, he just steals stuff. Okay. We're going to take you on and we're going to help rehabilitate you. Okay. I'll go for that one. You're an alcoholic and every time you get drunk, you do something stupid. We can help you with that. You're a murderer and a child rapist and you want rehabilitated, get in that line over there. Yeah, we're going to train you how to use a parachute over the Pacific Ocean, halfway to Hawaii, We're going to rehabilitate you. Yes, we are. We're gonna save your soul, and we're gonna have you believing in God before you know it. Because about the time we get to toss you out that open window, you're gonna go, Jesus Christ, and out the door you go. We'll look down at that airplane and go, holy crap, there he goes, Joe. Look at his arms flailing around. Oh, man, there's a shark down there waiting on his ass. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. I never would have believed. So, we've got all this going on. Is to treat this person like that, oh, it's inhumane. Really? Well, what happened as he was falling out of the airplane only took him, less than a minute. What he did to them 3 women lasted a lot more than a minute for each one of them. And they have to live with that every single day, every day. I mean, so that 1 minute from the airplane to the splat. Now, okay, that was pretty mean, wasn't it? That was pretty mean. But we took care of him before he got fed. We took him on a plane ride, and, so, that last drop was inhumane. The fact that he hit the water in his shark food, now he's already dead, so that's not inhumane. And ain't nobody, then them women gonna remember him. Hey, Katniss, how you doing, love? So, but the society, what does society think about this? We're going to save the crook. Okay, we can save a thief, but not a murderer and a rapist. Nope. Bye. Well, I only killed one person when I was drunk and it was, it was an accident. Maybe. We're going to try with you. We're going to keep an eye on you, but, circumstances. But now, if you just a thug and you don't want to be anything but a thug, you take that thug business over there to that bench, like the Group W bench, and sit your ass down because you're going on a plane ride. What? Oh, yeah, we're going to give you a free plane ride. Destination unknown. And so, oh, but that's cruel and unusual punishment. Is it? It's only going to be cruel from the time he leaves the airplane to the time he hits. That's what the cruel part is. Now, if it would be cruel if you dropped him off at 20 feet and, with a life jacket on that smells like, dead pork roast, um, and let them just bob around in the ocean, and film them, see how long it takes the sharks to get them, how long they would survive in that situation. That would be cruel and unusual punishment. Okay, you're gonna toss them out. You're gonna do, but now you're gonna wait for the sharks to come. Ooh. So if you really wanted to take vengeance, you could offer to people, you have the opportunity to leave at 10,000 feet, or you can have this life jacket and take a jump at 20 feet. Which do you prefer? I'll take 20 feet. Okay. There's about 30 sharks swimming around, right in the middle, Jack. Pinpoint direction. Now, is that cruel and an unusual punishment? What makes the scale? Is it okay to do the rapey thing? Blah, 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 and where does it fit on the scale of stuff in our society? So then the question comes back. All right, we have established that these behaviors are bad enough for this right here. Okay, but now the punishment for this is, well, is on a sliding scale. It's here, or maybe it's down a little bit, or maybe it's way up here, or is it death? Is it the ultimate? In cases of murder, I was talking to someone in line the other day. Something, it was being in jail, and he just got out. He was like, "Yeah, I was in there for second-degree murder." He said, "I served 10 years and got out with 7." And I was like, I'm standing in line. That's a Dollar General, mind you, with a convicted murderer who served his time now, but I'm standing in line with a convicted murderer. And I'm like, well, this has happened before, but not down here, So, there's a lot of people who have been convicted of things like me. I didn't hurt nobody. I just had drugs, right? And a very small amount that they wanted, 20 years for, which to the point of, um, Mr. Kennedy from Louisiana, the 20 years for what I had was way out of whack for what the crime was actually committed, right? But, so I got my um, felony charge and all that good stuff that follows me all my life, no matter what, has kept me from getting a federal job or a state job or municipality job and other jobs too, because I was, a drug addict and I served time. So the last job I had on my exit interview, I asked my boss man of almost 8 years, I said, hey, Bill, can I tell you something? Since we're just, this is my last couple hours here and I'm headed home and this is it. I said, can I ask you a question? And he goes, okay. What is it? I said, well, I have to tell you something first. I said, did you know that when I was hired, that I was on probation? for having grown over an ounce of marijuana. And that since I've been working here, I have served my time and my probationary period, and I'm free and clear for the last 2 years without, having any type of probation or anything like that. And so I've been free and clear of that. And I just wanted you to know that I appreciate the fact that y'all hired me. And his eyes got real big. And I said, so Bill, I'm going to ask you, now that you know, not that we were trying to hide it, but it just wasn't pointed out. I said, now that you know what I did and that I've served, and now that you know that I've worked here for over 7 years and have done a good job for you, would you hire me now? He didn't even hesitate. And he said, no. And I said, why? He said, because of the drugs. And I went, okay. So what if I had been on probation for carrying a gun without a license or something, some type of minor firearm charge? He's like, I don't care. People, get arrested all the time for that. And I was like, yeah, but people get arrested all the time too for small amounts of drugs. So, but you would not, after literally the millions of dollars that I helped save this company, the millions of dollars of positive tooling and industrial stuff, of all the positive things I've done for this company, you're telling me all this experience I'm bringing with me, would you hire me? And nope. So I'm like, see you, Charlie, So, but there are some people, there are certain things that they are just not going to go along with. So even though he had let go 4 other engineers and 2 other departments and kept me. But so after doing all of that and knowing that I was good enough to replace 4 other engineers once I got things under control, no. They were getting, $100,000 a year. I was making $30,000 a year, So quite a savings. Plus, I was literally, from the different things that we were doing with production and so forth and tooling, I was saving them millions of dollars a year. Still no good, right? So, but anyway, and then somebody told me later on that, well, he had a family member die of some drugs or something like that. And I was like, I was the one that was on these drugs, by the way. I didn't get caught for selling it or distributing it. It was possession. Still wouldn't hire you. Okay, bye. See you later. Nice to know you. I haven't seen him since. And that's been 25 years ago, 20 years ago. But the fact that people are set in their ways, and he would not, after all that he knew, that he had known me and blah 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 blah, all this other stuff, he would not hire me. So there are people set in their ways in a lot of other ways. We're coming up on a 20, ain't we? My battery's fixing to go low. I didn't charge it up. I just grabbed it and turned it on, gave it a title. But of the 44,000, so here I am talking about my job and this, that, and the other. But so I worked hard for the position that I had. I stood up when them other 4 engineers said, I don't know, boss, if we can take care of that. And I said, boss, because I was independent of them, I said, boss, can you give me a couple of days? I think I might have a solution. Now, that wasn't a positive, but these other got 4 engineers who went, well, I don't know. It seems impossible. We tried some other things. But for me, I said, if you give me a couple of days, I may not do. I may have a solution, but it's going to take me a couple of days, but I'll let you know as soon as possible. So that gives me a couple of days to think about it. It gets the boss man off our back, right? It also gives me a chance to really study what the issue is, because a lot of times it was fixable by some kind of adjustment. So in many cases, these guys would go, oh, and we've already tried it. And I'd go out there and study the machine or what the process was. We'd check. Sometimes it was the tooling that was too hard or too soft. Sometimes it was something else. Sometimes it was an adjustment on the machine. And so after 2 days, a lot of times I could go back in there and say, boss man, got the problem fixed, and here's what it was. And the other 4 engineers are going, you can't be doing that kind of shit. And we're like, what do you mean? Well, we knew that if we worked on it, but we've been busy on another project. I'm like, he wanted this fixed now. And you all decided to work on this. Your project is important. I get it. But he wanted that fixed now. And you guys, between the 4 of you, could have fixed it. Instead, I raised my hand and volunteered. Now, my point to that is these 44,000 people, I ain't seen nobody raise their hand and go, there's nobody here, but I'm ready to work. I'm ready to work. Hey, boss, I used to work here. In fact, I still get a paycheck. I returned the email. Here I am. Count me as present. 44,000 people decided not to do that, to not go back to their jobs, to not go drive in back to the office, to deny it, to say, no, I ain't doing that. No, I ain't going. All right, so I started this earlier and I got off track. I could see where there are some people who maybe have been involved in, chasing down the January Sixers and prosecuting the old lady that was 100 yards away, and people who were let in and were just strolling through the halls. It does belong to us, by the way. They should have been given tours that day, with instead of all the bullshit they put up. The palace guards should have allowed them to go in, but so if you were charged, and it's already been happening, so you were charged with prosecuting the old lady, and sent her to jail for her participation in the insurrection. Okay, I would say to the person who dove into charging this little old lady, I'd be going, oh, hell no. Oh, hell no. I'm sorry. You want me to do what to this little old lady? No. I'm sorry. No, I quit. But people, because they wanted to keep their job, they went ahead and prosecuted these people, knowing morally that it was wrong. Okay. And the worst that they should have been charged with would have been trespassing, not insurrection, and not really criminal trespass. Now, some of those ones that, broke through the door and okay, criminal trespass. Okay. But after that, the other folks just getting in, okay, you're charged with trespassing. That's a $50 fine. Go home. What? Not sending a little old lady to jail. So the people who were involved in prosecuting these people to the fullest without standing up and saying, hey, whoa, this is not an insurrection. This was, trespassing. No, insurrection. No, it's trespassing. I'm a federal agent because they had federal agents there. I'm a federal agent, and this is not insurrection. There were enough people around since the beginning of this. FBI folks, okay, could have stood up and told them Congress people, Pelosi and them, right? This is not a felony. This is not an insurrection. This is simple trespassing. Charge them $50 and send them home. That's what I believe. Do they get off scot-free? No, most of them have to pay $50 fine for trespassing. That's all. Now, the ones who did the fighting and whatever, that's another story. Even Trump has said that's another story. But he said, I have to pardon them all. So it would give us time to weed out who actually did the violence. Because he said, I can rescind their pardon. I gave him the pardon, I can rescind it. So the little old lady and the guy over here and that were just walked in, they get $50 fine, they're out of there, right? So it's a 20, ain't it? So, but the other violent people, we're going to send you back to court and we're going to try you correctly, not in a kangaroo court. Yes, we're going to have the evidence. Yes, there's going to be a jury. And yes, you're going to be tried properly. And then whatever, punishment is dealt out, we have followed the democratic way. To me, it's simple. But to these, diehard Democrats and some Republicans, it was an insurrection. It was the darkest day in American history. The darkest day. They played that up. The darkest day. The darkest day in America. Oh, shut the fudge up, So, but justice must be served because there were laws broken. And you say, well, Dave, what's that got to do with the 44,000? Because some of them 44,000 knew something. What do you mean, Dave? Well, they worked for the energy department, and that gay guy that was in control of all that, all the nuclear waste in the United States, the guy that did the thing, and wasn't he the guy that got caught, doing the bang bang and in the Congress? It took pictures of him and his partner getting it on, and that guy, that's in charge of all the nuclear waste, and that guy. Finds out that they've been dumping nuclear waste illegally someplace. I mean, up there in Washington, and that dump site up there has been having troubles for a while, and he's supposed to be in charge of that. What are they doing? What have they done? What are they going to do? And what are future plans? Ain't heard nothing, but we know that the guy likes to dress funny and, and bang his partner in Congress, what? So we don't know what's going to come up. We don't know what some of these people have done. Carelessness or on purpose. There was some carelessness with the fires, right, in California. today, Trump signs an executive order and he's showing pictures. He said, give me them pictures. He said, we've got water flowing now from Northern California south. And he said, see all this? And he said, these viaducts and all of this piping and everything was done over 30 years ago. And for the last 20 years, all these pipes and all these aqueducts and everything have been sitting empty. He said, not anymore. Water's flowing. So, there are things that can be done, like turning a valve and literally turning on the water to a district, an area or something. But people have, for whatever reason, have blocked it. For whatever their stupidity, they've blocked it. Oh, these little fishies are more important than millions of people and billions of dollars of property value. Homes and livelihoods and you know the drill. Palisades and, LA burning. And oh my God, people were told today that it may be 5 years before they can get in to start rebuilding. 5 years. Trump, when he was there, he goes, they can start this in 24 hours. You, madam, have the emergency powers. Why didn't you do something? So it's been 2 months since he was there, ish. And she's saying it'll be 5 years now. So she's gone back on her word. It's going to be 5 years before you can get in here to possibly rebuild. I mean, because they're going to change the law. They're going to try to rezone the place now is what they're going to do. They're going to rezone it so that instead of single family dwellings, it will include, it's the next level up. It's not commercial, but they can build, duplexes and stuff like that. Trump said they could be clearing out their lots. Yeah. I mean, when he was there that day, he was like, listen, lady, he gave her hell, right? 15-minute city. That's what I was trying to think of, John. Thank you. So that's what they want to do. And that's what they're proposing. And that's what some of these folks are like. That's, what their vision of the future is like. So the vision, the future, I grew up in Florida. I was watching something the other day and they were flooding or something, or I don't know. Anyway, I was sitting with a friend and I saw the sign that said, ooh, Apollo Beach. And I said, oh, I used to live in Apollo Beach. I house sat for person and, and blah, blah, blah. And, oh, really? And I was like, yeah, that's interesting. I'm sitting here in Georgia 50 years later and I see a sign for Apollo Beach. And I had driven by that sign a bunch of times and it was like, oh, it's on TV for whatever reason. But I think they were talking about flooding. And I was like, yeah, Apollo Beach is like right on, right on the, it's right level with the ocean, here's the water, here's the seawall, and it goes up and down with the tide. And a lot of those houses back then were literally built on the ground. Back in the day before there was any really hurricane kind of stuff. But so anyway, we remember things. And for those of us who are, for me, old enough to be able to look back on stuff, but there's no wisdom with some of these people. They've lived long enough to see some of this. And, oh, the Santa Ana winds, about this stuff. I was coming around to it. They're aware of these things. There's water in North California, but they wanted to bring it down because of the fishy. I'm sorry about the fishy. Maybe you could divert some of the water, some of the time, to make sure that the little fishy could still get along. There's got to be a solution. But to turn off the water to millions of people in Southern California is stupid, especially when you built the infrastructure to do exactly that. Come on. So it's not like they had to go out of their way to do it. You know what I mean? So, but in society, do you let the killer rapist go free because it's not in our jurisdiction? Do you shut the water off because of a fishy? No, I root for the fish too, but not to the point of stupidity. And this is stupidity. So the water's flowing again. What else? So come to work. 44,000 people. Just show back up. Nobody's going to scream or holler at you because nobody knows what the fudge you did. But if you show up and you've still got your badge, or you can still, say, hey, mister, I lost my badge, but here's my social security number, and here's my, and they go, oh, hi, Mr. Jones, come on in. When was the last time you punched in? Well, I don't know. But glad to see you're back. Glad to see you're back. Nope. Ain't nobody showing up. So now there are other people who are resigning. Now they say, well, these people resigned. We get to add them to the 44,000. Okay, so why are they resigning? Because of Trump. Really? Now let's stop and think about this a minute. Just because of Trump? Or is it because they worked in a department where they did something that's questionable, and that you're going to resign before they find out that you were involved in this? You made phone calls on the behalf of said client. You sent, fentanyl to the prison because this prisoner was addicted, and morphine, or that other drug that I can't think of right now, the fake one, didn't work. So they smuggled in, fentanyl so you could keep your habit going. And what? So around and around and around we go. But does it ever land on justice? And as I was speaking earlier in the first video earlier today, in that Dan Bongino, having listened to him for about a year now on his podcast, and and listened to some old ones and stuff, and I'm right on it with him. There are many things that I learned and knew about before I started listening to him. And then he kind of filled in some blanks, and I was like, oh, is that why they did that? Kind of thing. And so, and there have been some other whistleblowers and folks that have come out, like that was on the Sean Ryan show. And, Pete Hegseth was on with Sean. He's now in charge of all the, Cash Patel was on his show, and now he's in charge of Tulsi Gabbard was on with him, and now she's in charge of. So he interviewed these people before they were even thought of being selected. 6, 8, 10 months ago, a year ago, right? So here's Sean Ryan, unbeknownst to him, maybe psychologically speaking, who got these people on and interviewed them for 2 or 3 hours, found out what they were like, found out what their back history was, found out what their service was, militarily and so forth. And then the president chooses them for these cabinet positions. I just want to say, listen, Sean Ryan, unbeknownst to him, he was just interviewing these people. He didn't know it, but President Trump was able to watch his shows and get to know those people, just like we got to know those people through the interviews, like the interview that people got to know Trump when he went to Rogan, So he took that same idea, unsung heroes, absolutely. But so he watched Sean Ryan. How do I know? Because just from things that he said, how did he know this about, this person? Because I remember him talking about it on Sean Ryan show. I remember him talking about it. See, so it's like, oh, that's how I'm tying things together. So it would be easy for the press to watch a little bit of a, hey, that Pete Hegseth guy. Let me watch this about him. Holy crap, I didn't know that. We all got to watch it. So those of us who watched it got it, most of us anyway. And the president, having seen all the positive comments and so forth, and going, wow, there's a lot of people that, really like this guy. And he's really well, respected. And he's got a good track record. And he's got a, think I'll nominate him for, to be in charge of all the military. Yeah. He's going to get rid of that DEI crap. Yeah. I can try him out. Yeah. I don't want no freaking general. No. Okay, here we go. Tulsi Gabbard. Kash Patel, because he was already in charge of something else in Trump's last administration. So Trump knew who Kash was. So the second time around, and Kash has spoke to the president then and now, but then he was like, man, this guy's got information about this over there. And this guy's got some information down over there about this. And that's the truth. And we just need to bring it all out. You're going to be the director of the FBI. And here's this guy that the president got to meet when Dan Bongino interviewed him just before the election kind of thing. And so they got to meet personally. But that Dan knows Kash and all these other people personally. And some other people in the Secret Service, for example, and some folks in the FBI, because he's worked with them in the past. So you say, well, I've listened to his podcast. He's got more information than any other news outlet about this subject, this subject, this subject, this subject. And he has said that he's not going to rest until he knows what's going on with, the guy who tried to kill me. And he's like, other people have dropped it, and other people, no, but I ain't letting it rest. I want to know. And I think all the people should know. This has been his mantra for a long time. So what is Dan Bongino going to do when he gets in there as assistant deputy director? He's going to start talking to people and go, listen, you've heard my podcast. Where are the files on this? Where are the files on that over there? Who was in charge of this? Now, that's not being bullied. He's going to get in there and he's going to ask folks, where's that? Where are these things? I need to see them. I need to know where they're located. If I want to get this file, how would I get it? Guess what? That's his day one job. Show me how to access those files. I've got my clearance. Now show me how this shit works. And off he goes. Because he'll sit there and do his research. And he might even talk to Elon, go, hey, Elon, I need one of them smart guys to come up with an algorithm for me who will, I want to search, there's nothing here in this thing. I want to search for tall men with red beards. Okay. Somehow put a parameter in there for this thing to go in there and search the database for tall men with red beards. Why? Well, because there was a closed case somewhere and it had to do with, a sighting of a tall man, and there were, red follicles from a beard around the scene. So tall man, red beard. That's what we got. So, well, why do you need that information? It's none of your business. I'm trying to look at looking at a cold case. So Dan comes in. Nobody knows him per se. He wants to know how to work the system. But the guys or girls who are sitting there, been there a while, right, are going to go, why? Why do you want to know this information? It doesn't matter. It simply does not matter. Well, why you say that, Dave? It's because it doesn't matter. Unless Dan or the deputy director gives you an order, it doesn't matter why he's looking at something or why he wants this information. Apparently, it matters because it might be a piece of a puzzle that's much larger that you just aren't aware of. No offense to you, Mr. Operator, Miss Operator over here. No offense to you, person over here. Wait a minute. You want to resign? How come you want to resign? I'm just asking you, how do I do this? I'm sorry, I resigned. Thank you. Bye. Now, 20 other people resigned too. Now, why is that? They got a job. They're working for the FBI. Why would they resign? Did anybody point their finger at them and say, y'all are in trouble? Maybe they did. And they're not saying. But my guess is these people who are resigning do not want to get caught at something. Why would you leave? I'm getting paid. I've got seniority. I've got, all this, but I'm going to resign my position here at the FBI. Now, interesting that they waited until now to resign. Pay attention. So Kash just got appointed like last week, right? More or less. And then this weekend, Dan Bongino, assistant director. Now there are folks resigning. Why? Because the folks on the inside realized that their duty of shredding documents is over. And they better get out now before the crap really hits the fan. Because the only reason they stayed from the time that, Trump was elected until now, why didn't they, resign earlier? Well, they weren't sure that Kash was going to get nominated. Then he wasn't going to get filed through. Then he wasn't going to get voted on. And then he wasn't going to. Now he is the director of the ATFE and also the FBI. So now they go, well, but now that Dan is added to the thing, who's going to be asking questions up the wazoo, and he already knows stuff, they're resigning because they know stuff and they don't want to get caught in the act. And it seems to me, I'm a conspiracy theorist, right? It seems to me that the first people that I would investigate when I get there are going to be the first people who resigned. What? That's right. Who resigned in the last 2 weeks? Well, there was 20 of them that day, and there was okay. Give me a list, and from that list, I want their personnel records, and I want their and what were they working on? What types of things were they investigating here at the bureau? What were their duties at the bureau? And I'm going to call them all back in for personal interviews. What? But they resigned. I don't care. Get the federal marshals and drag them back in here. Pearl. Oh my goodness gracious. And we are going to ask them a bunch of questions. The planets what? The planets align on my birthday, February 28th. God bless you. Happy birthday. And oh, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, let me interject something about the alignment of the planets. There is a falsehood to this. Oh, I missed that 20. There is a falsehood in this, but the planets are not lined up. They're not. Jupiter's up here, Saturn's down over here, Uranus is back over here, but the alignment is that they are all on the same side of the sun at the same time. But people, when you hear alignment, I've been watching space and stuff for a long time, and I was listening to a guy the other day, and he goes, as an astronomer, and he goes, let me give you a little bit of information. The planets are not lined up like everybody's listening, all this, see, fake news. So, but truth is that all of the planets and so forth are on the same quadrant at the same time. They're not on the same plane because, Mercury might be down here and Venus is over here and Earth is down. So they're not on the equal plane with us on the same. No, they're on different spots, but they are all on the same side of the sun. So not to burst your bubble there, Miss Pearl, but just clarification. So alignment, and look it up, but alignment in this instant does not mean lined up. It means they're all on the same side of the sun, and that's important. It still has the same meaning that way. But just don't, when they say alignment, we think they're in a line, and they're not really in a line. I know that, but energy of the placement is most definitely being. Oh, absolutely, Miss Pearl. When I watched that the other day, I was like, how many people actually think, because I sort of did, that they were lined up? No, they're just on the same side of the sun at the same time. That's big enough, all right? And the energies and all that, I'm not trying to discount that in any way. But when somebody says alignment, to me, it means aligned. So it's been falsehoods to me, you know. So something else about this little business and the 44,000 and so forth. I just think the number's kind of weird that they came up with the 44 thing right away. But so, reasons to resign. You know too much. You're afraid that the new management is going to treat you badly. You're afraid that the new moon oracle gangsta in the chat. Oh yeah, that is right. New moon is then. Oh, and by the way, since you brought up stuff outside in the stars, I go out every evening, with Duggar to take a whiz. I'm standing out here and I look at the stars and everything outside, and it's been really clouded here for a while. And so the fact that it's clear the last few nights, and I'm like, wow, really cool, right? So first thing, because we're getting into the time of year where Orion will not be seen. It'll be several months and it'll come back in the fall. So I'm tracking Orion as it's last month or so in the sky to be seen, and what's coming up new, what's bright. And so I go outside the other night and I notice that the moon is really low, right? Really low. And for full moon, it had been straight overhead. So in less than 2 weeks, the moon went from straight overhead to low in the sky. Now that's some earth wobble right there now. But in that, and it went quick too. It didn't take like a week for it to go down. No, it went 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, and it was down. So the earth wobble's still around, y'all. And the moon is absolutely, somebody's moving it around with a joystick. Okay. Seriously, it ain't staying in the same place. Now, Orion, back to Orion. So I go out and I'm looking up at Orion, and Orion's low in the sky. And I'm thinking, low in the sky, along with the moon, that puts the Earth from my position has rolled south. No, I'm sorry. It's low in the sky. The Earth has rolled north. And so Orion's the same position. And it looks good all the time right here. But now Orion's south. So that means the Earth has rolled up this way. And Orion's I can see it now, it's in the south. Well, so I go out tonight and Orion's damn near overhead. Now, that constellation and the ones around it are not moving per se, but Earth is. So, along with Miss Pearl and all of the energies coming out of the alignment, and all the energies this same person was talking about, the levels of these certain radiations coming off of the sun, but also off of the galactic center. Now, he is an astronomer, not a psychic or a spiritualist. He's an astronomer, okay? And he goes, there are a lot of these extra energies that are going to affect a lot of people's magnetic frequencies. And I went, oh shit, really? So, there are scientists. He was to me, a young fella, maybe in his 30s, who was talking about, honestly, scientifically, there's the moon is doing the thing and blah, 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 but at the same time, he's like, yeah, he ain't slacking on, the energies and frequencies. And he talks about frequencies frequently. But so it's like, okay. So, when I catch this guy, I should subscribe to his channel next time I see him. But Orion now is like, what? So when Orion was up, I was like, wow, that's the right position there with the moon. And now Orion has set all the way down over here in the south. So when the moon was up, so was Orion. Now if the moon's down, so's Orion. So the two of them are kind of correlating together as far as position, right? Now, Orion ain't moving because it's a whole star cluster, right? And the moon, I would say, is going along somehow with it. But that the earth is absolutely still wobbling. Okay. So it was stable there for a while because I have not discussed this. But I mean, just in the last couple of days of being able to see without a cloud cover, for crying out loud, I'm like, what? It was here and now it's over there. The earth is wobbling big time right now. So we're getting weird energies out of the galactic center, honestly, from not just, listen to the folks on Gaia TV or something. No, that scientists are saying strange, and, intense radiations coming from the center of the galaxy. Really? Yeah, it's not somebody making it up or that, there are strange energies coming from, yeah. No, this is a scientist with devices that monitor these kinds of things. And there are strange and powerful energies that are hitting us from the center of the galaxy, plus energies coming off of the sun that aren't connected with gamma or this ray or that ray, but they're still there and they're still strong. So he said having to do with upsetting our magnetic thing inside us. And I can tell you that, like right now, I'm having chest pains. And I can tell that things have changed the last few days. And I even told my doctor, I said, something's up. I said, I'm tripping. Whatever in my brain, and I haven't taken anything. And even my normal drugs, right? And I'm like, I don't know what it is, but I am being funky here. And I mean, I haven't drank anything, I haven't taken anything, I even held off my meds so I could find out, if it was any of these meds that were making me feel funky. No. So I have, opted to stop taking this medicine for a few days. I actually ran out of one and the pharmacy can't get it and they don't know when. So here's this going on, but the craziness in my head is off the charts. I'm trying to walk across the parking lot to go to the therapy session this morning, and I'm just like, I need a guardrail, but I'm in a parking lot. I take my cane to keep from falling over. But so my point to this is that I didn't take anything. I was off my meds enough to, if I'd just taken them and it had been an hour or two after taking my meds and I felt funky, okay. But this had been 14 hours. And these medicines that I have to take so regularly, they're mostly out of you after 14 hours. So, and I have ran out before and I've not had these experiences. So today I'm like, I was driving into town going, holy shit, just get me there. And when I got there, I was like, holy shit, just let me get home. I mean, it was bad. If I did not have an appointment today, I would not have driven anywhere. Even though I needed some pain meds and heart medicine, I might have opted out for not going into town. But I did anyway and went to therapy anyway, regardless of how I felt. But to the idea of my feeling, I'm not trying to make this about me. What I'm trying to get to is something's funky's going on, you know, and it's really screwing with my mechanical, magnetical, or something inside my brain, because it was really twisted up inside. I mean, it's been quite a few years since I've tripped on acid or anything like that. In fact, it's been 3 years since I had somebody gave me some chocolate mushrooms, and I had a nice low grade trip. This was at least like the low grade pushing to a higher grade today while I was walking around and driving. So if you're having some weird feelings, there's some strange stuff coming out of the universe. And absolutely, the earth is on the wobble again. Absolutely. The last 3 nights have proven it. I mean, when I went outside tonight, I was like, what? It's done. I mean, it's dropped another more than a handful in one night, which is several degrees when you plot it out. So, I mean, we have really rolled up for Orion to have dropped. So, from my position, the north is further that away. But so anyway, yeah, stuff's going on. You know, hang on. You know, there's all the political stuff, but there are a lot of political stuff that's being mitigated. There are folks who are not so ready to push that little red button right now. You know, don't start nothing, won't be nothing. So, you know, people can bitch about Trump all they want to, but every time they asking him about the Ukraine or over there with Hamas and all that, he said, all I know is I want the fighting to stop. I want people to stop being killed. I want peace. I want people to stop being murdered. I want people, you know, stop. So bitch about him all you want. But if you listen, all he wants is to stop people from fighting and killing each other. And why is he going to stop the war? Because the Ukraine, because the Russians used to be a part of the Ukraine, and because the Ukraine has a bunch of natural resources, and when they put that, you know, Zelensky guy in, he denied Russia access to those things that before was going to work out a deal. So now that Trump is in there, and now that he's like, you know, they said, ask Trump today, what is the United States going to give the Ukraine to help rebuild? And Trump looked up and he said, nothing. We've already gave them $565 billion. You know, we need to get something out of this. And they're going to sign, you know, a rare earth metals deal with us. You know, we're not giving you any more money. In fact, you're going to allow us to go out there in that field and dig a mine until we dig enough out to pay for that $565 billion we gave you. No, we're not giving you anything else. Ask Europe to pick up the tab. I was like, holy shit. Whoa, dude. All right. Now, see, and now that America is going to have this controlling factor, this $565 billion gift to the Ukrainians, he's like, nah, nope, sorry. Now, Trump is the art of the deal. Why does Putin like him? Why does he and Putin get along? Is because him and Putin want the same thing. They want resources. from the Donbass. So now Trump's got a foothold in and says, listen here, Zelensky, you're going to do what the fuck I tell you to do because you owe us a shitload of money and you can listen. Now, that man right over there, Putin, does not want to fight you. So we're going to make a deal. You might not like it, don't care. And you're going to sign this agreement here or you're going to fall out of an airplane. Now, which is it? You know, and Putin's going to look at Trump and he's going to go, yep, good deal, you know. So, and they'll pull the fighting back and they'll quit. And Putin will bring in their drilling equipment or whatever, and we'll bring in our drilling equipment or whatever, and that'll be that. At least for 4 years. And what is Trump going to get out of this? The war's going to be over. And he's going to be able to go into, he's always talking about these cities, and I agree, these cities where the spires have toppled and fallen over and been destroyed and it'll never be replaced. He wants to build a hotel. That's what he does. So as they rebuild the Ukraine, he wants a plot of land to build a hotel. I ain't said that, but that's his finder's fee. He doesn't want them to build the hotel, but he wants to be able to build a hotel with the graces of no taxes, water lines, whatever he needs, right? Infrastructure. But he's going to work with Zelensky has a hand of eights. Yeah, I was what that the comment section goes down too quick. So, but anyway, all these people who are complaining about this and that, he don't know what he's doing. He's trying to take over the world. No, Donald Trump seriously wants peace. Seriously. Now, does he want to be dictator of the United States? No. And you say, well, Dave, why do you say that? It's because he's giving all of these people permission to do his bidding. The king says, do that, and it's okay. Well, the president is a CEO, not a king. But, you know, having worked for many CEOs, you know, if I've needed something done right away and I didn't want to go through the bullshit of all the other engineers, I'd go up and ask the plant manager, have you got 15 minutes for me to come in and have a cup of coffee with you? And he always knew if I did that something was going on, good or bad. And so, you know, I'd say, listen, I've got this idea for such and such and such and such. And I wanted to run it by these other folks, but, you know, they've already kind of sort of indicated that they're not too keen on the idea, but I think it'd be a really good beneficial thing. And I just wanted to I wanted to run it by you and see what you thought. So most of the time, if I got to the point of the plant manager and I said, I want you to look at this for me, he would go ahead. Or what do you need to go ahead with this project? And then the other engineers would go, well, you know, I didn't know we were going to do that. And how come you started this and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, well, you know, Gary Anderson heard about it and asked me in the office, and I, you know, told him about it in about 5 minutes, and he said, well, just go ahead and do it and plan it and let me know how it goes. And they were all like, you can get things done if you really want to. You know, you can find information if you really try. You don't necessarily have to go around behind somebody's back. You just need to know how to do it in front of everybody. That's all. You know, Gary and I had a cup of coffee together. I brought some donuts and wanted to chat about something, and he had asked me a question about, how this project was going. And so we had coffee and donuts together, and, now he wants me to go ahead with this $1 million project. You He's giving me the okay. So, and he's going to fly me to Detroit and over to Canada in the meantime, which is what happened. So, but anyway, we did a good thing and it just went to shit. That's when you have to just give up a baby. You work for 2 years on a project and it just. I know how Dan Bongino feels when he's worked for so many years on a project and he's got to give it up. He's got to give up all rights and so forth. But anyway, the 44,000. So, how many people are going to quit from here on out? And one of the biggest things is Hawkeye. Have you taken your no? Actually, they're sitting right over here. But it is 3 o'clock, so it has been 12 hours. So yeah, I need to take my meds. Um, and what? And you might be asking, well, Dave, why the hell do you care about this? Well, as a watcher, because I'm watching stuff and I haven't tried to get into the political things too much. I've had conversations with you, but then my guys reminded me that listen, you know, part of your job as a watchman, as a watcher, is to explain some of this stuff. And if there's somebody out there that needs a little clarification, maybe you can provide it. You have your little chats and we'll see. Okay, so here I am, right? But at the same time, to vocalize this, I really want to see peace. It's interesting how peace is being leveraged through rare earth minerals and through money already given and through this and that, and how, we've been, there's been a faction, the George Soros group, that it actually all goes back to, promoting all this gay shit and transy shit. And, when Trump got on the governor of Maine the other day. I was watching it live, and I was like, "Hey, he just got on her ass." Oh my God! I'll see you in court. Okay, that'll be a fine day. That won't take long, and good luck finding a job after being governor. Holy shit! He went straight for it. But so he don't play around. He ain't mincing words. He's go. Sometimes I think he's too rude, but calling the shifty shift guy, a sicko. He's done some shifty shift sicko stuff, and that's why he's worried about Cash Patel and Dan Bongino, because they know where to look, and that's the first thing they're going to be asking: where are the files? Where are the files? But what about Epstein? Well, there's a lot of redacted stuff. There's a lot of stuff to go through. But some of these other things is like, where are the files? I want to see them. Where are the files? You know. And that they said that, JFK was a two-shooter and a conspiracy. And that Lee Harvey Oswald did not act alone, and the single gunman, and that's enough right there to like. And there's a guy that's, in prison who has been interviewed and has said that he was on the grassy knoll that day, and he's the one that fired the killing shot at President Kennedy. He described where he was. He described smoking cigarettes. He described all these different. He described how he left, and he was hired by the mob kind of thing. So it's like, but nobody believed him. And it's all been conspiracy theory. So, but the second shooter now puts this guy in line, and he's in prison, and he has, volunteered this information to the point of having certain details nobody else had released, and he knew about it. So it's like, okay. So now they might even know who he is, and other things. The files on Martin Luther King. Ever read it? The guy was talking about, I'm getting tired. He said Martin Luther King was a scumbag, but they picked him to be the guy. And the reason they picked him to be the guy was because he was a scumbag and they had info on him. See, he was not this preacher and, and he was, I have a dream and all that. And it was like behind it all, he was, a scumbag. And it was like, what? Now that's the black preacher talking about it. And what the black community in certain circles has known since he was alive. Martin Luther King, that is. So it's like, all this stuff coming out after 50 years, 60 years, and you go, damn, man, we was taught and told all these things. But the real truth is this, that MLK was really a scumbag, and he had 3 mistresses, and he cheated on his wife, and he, what? Oh yeah, he was a holy man, and didn't know he was screwing the tenants around back. And what? Yeah, that was MLK. So but see right now that this black reverend who's been bringing this out, nobody's really believing him. They're like, yeah, okay, Reverend, yeah, okay. But when the files come out and it shows that what he said was correct, then that's gonna, he's like the preview, right? I'm telling you these things and I'm telling you they'd be true. And he was a scoundrel and he was a da, 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 da. Yeah, okay, Rev. But then when the file comes out and it goes, son, bitch, Rev was right. He tried to tell us, and he did. And here is the file. Holy crap. See? So he's kind of getting folks ready. Now, whether they believe him or not, So for me, some of the stuff I was listening to, I was like, holy shit, really? I was around in them days and there was talk about stuff like that. And so really, and he goes, wait till the files comes out. And I was like, oh man. Yeah. Now I'm not so much interested in MLK, but what I am interested in with all of the above is the truth. What really happened? Honestly, tell me give me the real story. That's all. As a storyteller and sort of a historian in a way, me and Robert, when we do our live streams and things, we try to bring in things historically, and we talk about, the pioneer days and all that and what it was like in those days, and, and try to bring it up, through that, because we think it's important. And history, it just in my lifetime has been so perverted and distorted and, and humiliating. It's unbelievable to listen to some of these stories about what happened back in the day. And you look into books and go, that's not what happened. That is not that's not how it happened. That's not the way it went. People didn't really feel that way in that community. I mean, it's like the thing in Texas. I'll get the Branch Davidian group, right? David Koresh and them. And so they had this compound. They had little children and teenagers and folks in there, right? And they were a community. But somebody in the community outside of the church didn't like what they was doing. Said that they was harming them childrens, and that they wouldn't, they wouldn't let them go to regular school, and they were doing this. So somebody called the FBI on them, right? I did get that Go MLK poster. Well, back in the day, I was growing up. I mean, civil rights was like, literally right out our window. My granny ran a store, in a mixed neighborhood, and we made it fine through them days, because of kindness. And but people are like, oh, the people in Tampa, Florida, blah, 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 and Ybor City, and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, there were some mean mofos in Ybor City, but there are still mean folks in Ybor City. The Cubans, Ybor, and has a long history of being rough around the edges and downright, murderous at times. And so it's like, so you're surprised? I mean, what? There are black people that live a block away from Ybor City? Yeah. Oh my God, and they're thugs. And they're thugs, They're not just black people living there, they're thugs. I mean, thugs, okay? Like in the movie Thugs. Yeah, I'm going to get my meds. What I wanted to finish up with something. Where was I? But so anyway, what I see of these people is that everyone that I have watched on, on the Sean Ryan show, you want to know about, these people, go check out Sean Ryan and the people that he has interviewed and listen to them. You can fast forward a little bit if you don't want to hear about their kids and stuff, but you want to listen absolutely, and rewind it if you have to, over the good meaty stuff, right? And there's some other podcasters too, all right? But I'm just saying, from a standpoint of those folks that he interviewed, a lot of them ended up serving the president at this particular moment in time. In fact, I was a little surprised. I'm like, for me, I was like, who's next to get invited to do something? Sean Ryan, because he was a Navy SEAL. He went through all these things. He worked for the CIA, and so it's like, you want this guy on your side, for whatever it is. David Koresh was trafficking Iraq. What? Oh, that's what I was trying to finish up. I was watching it the day they blew it up and set it on fire. Was trafficking in Iraq. Oh, he was using Iraq money. But the thing is that they had been locked in the compound for so many days, and that they had talked to him, and it had given him an ultimatum. Now, here's the thing. Here's this big building and everything out off the road. Here's all the FBI lined up over here with bullhorns and stuff, and come out, give yourselves up, and all this, and we'll just send the children out and all this kind of thing. And it's like, why would I send my children out to you guys? But so No, we're gonna we gave you a debt. See, this is the deal. The ATF under that lesbian who was in charge of all that. She was like, "Get him, get him." We gave him a deadline. Get him. Now here's the thing. 10 more minutes wouldn't have mattered. 10 more hours would not have mattered. 10 more days wouldn't have mattered. 10 more months probably wouldn't have mattered because they were on their own property. They were in their own building. They were doing their own stuff. They were being private citizens. But because someone on the outside had said that something, okay, and that they're mistreating the children, okay. But they threw a firebomb into the building. And when it caught on fire way too quick, they must have poured in an accelerant around that building. They had to. If you ever watched the way it went up, 1 minute there was a little bit of smoke, and the next thing you know, the whole fucking thing was on fire, all around in a huge blaze. And it's like, what? But they didn't need to do anything. They needed to negotiate more. These folks would have ran out of something and would have come out with their hands up going, okay, let's talk. We need to go to the grocery store, but the FBI and society deems that these people need to come out right now. Why? Because I said so. But I'm the FBI and I said, come out right now. What did I do? Well, you come on out and talk about it. Screw you. We're going to do what we're doing here, Now, see, there are a lot of conspiracy theories as to what Koresh was really doing. Now, who just said he was dealing in Iraqi thingies? Are you sure? Or is that what somebody said that he was doing? I'm just saying, everybody, MLK was a saint. No, he wasn't, but that's what they had everybody believing. What about this person? Okay. So the narrative that they have given us in some way, shape, or form has been planned out, and they're really good at sticking to the narrative. When they pick this is how it's supposed to go, boom. Most of the time, most of everybody sticks with it. Very interesting, right? Lee Harvey Oswald did not act alone. Just after these things come out, there are going to be some of these folks that are still going to say, no, it Oswald did it. Oswald did it. Oswald was it. Just not going to, their brain is not going to allow them to accept what the truth really is. And for many of us, we're like 2 shooters, maybe 3, but 2, There's evidence of 4 or 5, but, we'll win with 2, So, and what about MLK? And well, there's, all these girlfriends and all these, and there's some checks and there's thing. Oh, okay. And and what about this guy over here? And yeah, well, and like David Koresh. So the thing is that they murdered him and all of the Davidian branch folks. Murdered them all. How do you know? Okay, this is how I know. They could have backed up to that door. It was a slide. They had a sliding door on one side, I believe. They could have backed up to that door with a chain and a hook and put it on that door in such a way and went forward and ripped that bitch right off the side of that building if they wanted access. If they wanted them people out of that tin can, there were other ways to get them out of that tin can other than throwing in a firebomb with a bunch of little children's. Killed every single one of them, right? I don't think anybody's, wait a minute. Maybe there was somebody that survived. It was under somebody in the fumes or something. There might have been one or two survivors of that actually, but killed most of them. The government won't let you live free. Yeah, now there was more time to investigate because everything that was the case that was built up to that point was like, I don't know why they wanted this guy, but they did. And so they were going to pin something on him one way or the other. But why? Don't know. But interesting, just like they, tried to kill Trump, they did kill Koresh and his family, because they were in a tin box and they torched them. So folks say, oh, that's not true. I would like to see the files. Wouldn't you? And listen to what went on and interviews from different people and who gave the order. Janet Reno, that's who it was. Who gave the order to throw the firebomb? Whose bright ass idea was it to do it this way? Why did they give them an ultimatum? If you're not out of here by 12 o'clock tomorrow, we're going to come in and get you. They hadn't done anything as far as, had they robbed a bank? No. Had they done it? No. Had they been shooting at them? Well, maybe. But the feds were shooting at them, Well, maybe, sure. But who gives the government the right to make me do something on my own property? They come down here up to the gate and I close the gate. It'd be hard for them to get around, right? So they're out there on the road with their guns and stuff. Mr. Null, if you don't come out of there, we're going to come in and get you. Why? Well, because you're here on our list and you were caught growing marijuana in your backyard there in the woods by a helicopter. Is that not true? Yes, sir, that's true. I served my time and I served my probation. I paid my fines. It's over. No, sir. Somebody said that you're growing marijuana and that, because you were convicted of it before, we suspect you have some now. What? Well, they can do it. They have done it to other people. And so it's like, but so if I say no, fudge you, then, well, we're going to give you 10 days to come out. No, if you don't come out in the next 20 minutes, no, So then what? You're on your own private property and these people are invading you. Now, I live down the hill. When you get to my house, you have invaded my property. You have come down the hill. I'm sitting in the middle down here. No, we're not standing on the street if you come down here. So, but they come down here. Now they are literally down physically on my property, not on the street. Do I have the right to shoot these son bitches? Just because they're policemen, don't I have the right to defend my home? Shouldn't I have the right to throw a bomb at them, get off my property? Boom, Shouldn't I have that right? Not to be rude, not to be anti governmental or whatever, but just because you got a damn police uniform on, don't give you the right to come down here and tell me what to do. Now, that's supposed to be freedom. Supposed to be, right? So, in the same way, the Branch Davidians don't know everything that was said was speculation. But what was coming out from other sources from the Branch Davidians, because on the day that the place burned up, there were people going, but wait a minute, they had negotiations going on. The children were going to be released. And they were, and then they were like, oh my God, they're all being, burned alive. And that, so there were things that were ongoing that was beyond the deadline. But because Janet Reno and those folks that had a plan that were out there, with their stuff on the hood of their car and looking out at the field and everything, they were tired of doing that. So instead of just leaving a couple of cops there, patrol car, and everybody go back to the office, no, they had to all be out there to survey this to make it a big deal. Then the news showed up. And then the helicopter showed up. And then they threw the firebomb. And that was nasty. So this is one thing. And I have to really kind of like, what's so important about that date? And somebody said, that was a sacrifice, don't you? Now, for those of us conspiracy theorists, there have been some weird things like that Pope that lived for only 33 days. Now we're fixing to lose this guy. Thank you, Jesus. He's going. So that Janet Reno had set this time date kind of thing. You will take them out. You will by the time to blah, blah, blah. Why so important? Why? I have all these years, there were people asking the question, what does it matter? If it's 12 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 6 o'clock, what does it matter if it's at the end of the week? I cried when it happened. Oh God, I saw it live. Wasn't it horrible? And the thing is that there were still lots of options open. That's what's so shitty about it. All I had to do was let them sit in there for a while, because they were going to run out of something. When they ran out of toilet paper, they'd be coming out, But the thing is that the feds, knowing how they are, having been, grilled by the GBI, for my involvement in growing marijuana in South Georgia, and listening to them sons of bitches and their spiel and their gung ho swagger and this stuff, and fuck you, but as soon as you say something like that, you are against the system, and you are a conspiracy person, and you are an anarchist, and because you told that policeman to screw himself. Well, did you see what he was doing? He had, just because he's a cop, he has no business to kick in my door. I opened it. You can't get in the back door, but don't kick it because I got it latched, you dumbass. And the one guy was the GBI. He was really rude. And the county mountie here in my own house settled him down, said, you cut that out. Can't you see this man? And that's his personal property. Leave him alone. Get out of there. And it's like, well, we're looking for paraphernalia. And I said, I gave you all my paraphernalia. Quit tearing my shit up looking for more. I gave it to you. So, but anyway, having been through it, having been searched, having been to prison, having seen it from the inside, how the government works, that, yeah, buddy, believe some of these people. Can it be this bad? Oh, yeah. There are some things I'm surprised. It's like, man, I'm surprised in the fact that not so much that they did it. It's like, I can't believe you tried that and got away with it. That's more of my thing is like, you got away with that? Wow, some bitch. If I'd have tried that, I'd been under the jail. But so anyway, my dear friends, I love you all. And the 44,000, I'm still curious as to why not go back to work? Why do they feel pressured to go back to work? How can they have the unmitigated gall to say, I don't need to come back to work. I'm working from home. Did you fill out that questionnaire? That questionnaire was bullshit. I don't, my union rep says I don't have to answer something like that. Did your union rep also tell you that you're fired for not filling out that form? But Elon Musk, it's him who wrote it. I'm feeling nothing out for him. Actually, it wasn't him that sent it. It was the head of the HR department for the FBI. They sent it out. He didn't. They did. Well, but yeah, but he suggested it. He told them to do it because that's what all companies do on the outside. And the federal government should be run like a corporation, not like the government. But see, government don't know how to be run correctly because it's the government. So, but anyway, I missed the 20. Everybody needs to be safe. And the message with all this, and I'm just rambling on right now because I just wanted to get it off my head. But like I said months and years ago, actually, it's going to be up to us to help other people sort this out. So if you know somebody that's befuddled, you need to find the right outlet and go, you see that black preacher right there? He knew people who knew Martin Luther King. This ain't a government cover up. This is not, my daddy knew this guy that walked with Martin Luther King. He watched the door while Martin was, dallying around. He did such and such, such and such. How do I know that? Well, because through the black community, these things have been told and hidden. Martin Luther King wasn't all that, and quit trying to build him up bigger, And now they're going to give him statues, in Washington. But okay. They can always tear it down later on if they find out the truth. And that Rosa Parks didn't just do it. She was coerced and paid to do what she did. And there are circumstances and things that prove that, that's what was going on at the time. That there were people, because I was there during the 60s, there were people who were instigating trouble to try to get change. I mean, I'm sorry, but the Negroes could not vote. And I'm sorry if any of you out there, he just used the word Negro. You should have heard the way it was in the 60s, okay? And the word Negro was like the calm way to refer to this, to generation of peoples, right? And it's like, what? Couldn't vote. Couldn't be seen, couldn't be this, couldn't be that. In the 1960s, when I was a child and growing up in school, my childhood, the Negro could not vote. And the folks today are complaining about reparations. Be lucky that all them white men, some of them Southern white men, voted for the Civil Rights Act and gave you the right to vote. And you want to criticize those stingy old racist white men who gave you the right to vote because you all couldn't vote on it. You couldn't vote on it because you didn't have the right to vote. So all them Negroes out there in the 60s, this is how they talked, and worse. All them Negroes out there stood around hoping to Jesus that enough white people would vote this in the 1960s. So the folks like Joy Reid, who bitch and complain about how racist the white generation is, how racist these old white dudes are, how racist and pathetic and so forth. It was these misogynistic old white men that voted for you to have the right to vote. Stick that one in your pipe and smoke it before you start criticizing all these white people. It was the white people who gave you the right to vote. American Indians and the Irish should get it before, yeah. Oh, especially the Native Americans, But, and I've listened to a couple of congressmen that I was like, wait a minute, no. They were like, so one of the guys was like, so there was a treaty in 1890. Who cares? It was like, what? Well, the Indians in Oklahoma were given these sections of land, and it's not technically part of Oklahoma. Technically, by the treaty, the east end of Oklahoma does not belong to Oklahoma. It's still the Oklahoma Territory. And anything west of Tulsa, I think it is, now that's a state. That's part of the government. But not back over here. From Arkansas to here is still treated out to the Native Americans. And so there are folks that are like, well, we're going to cancel those treaties. And it's like, do you seriously want an Indian war? And there'd be a lot of white people joining too, like me. But me and my pellet gun. But the idea that, yeah, I got to plug this phone in, which means I got to get out of here. But the idea that, yes, the Native Americans are a conquered people. And yes, they gave up their land by treaty, okay, because they wanted to retain the fact of their sovereignty. So now they want to use that against them. Because you're a sovereign nation, we're not going to give you this. We're not going to give you that. We're not going to give you this, and we're not going to give you that. And we're not going to recognize that you even existed, right? So, but there are some federal judges who are like, oh no, I'm sorry. You know, that treaty was just over 100 years old, but it was a solid treaty. It was confirmed and stamped and everything. But sorry, we have to abide by that treaty, y'all. Man, the white man's going, what? And like over in the Black Hills of South Dakota. The white people are bitching because the Indians won't sell their land. And the Indians are going, I can't sell my land because it's part of the Indian nation. I have 2 acres here that, the local tribe has given me for my house and garden. But I cannot sell you this house and garden because it does not belong to me. Well, how come you can't sell your Indian land? Because you don't get it, So that's going on right now. But they're, with all the options that they have, they can't be satisfied until they have taken every fudging thing that the Indians have. Even now, this land is ours by treaty. No, it ain't. Well, yeah, it is. No, it ain't. And we, the Cherokee, we've got this section of land here. No, you don't. It's our sovereign right due to this treaty right here. It doesn't count. What? So the United States government, hopefully, the rule of law has already stated and I mean, this was just this last year. The federal judge said, sorry, that's their land. By treaty, get off of it. The state, nope. Oh, but we can do this by eminent domain. No, the hell you can't. Because they're a sovereign Indian nation. You can't call that sovereign thing because only can you use that on the United States property and, outline thingy. Like I live, in Georgia, they can come across my land and claim eminent domain, and I can fight them in court, but they're going to do what they want. Not so with Indian land. So there are some things that the government does, in my humble opinion, that's correct. Now, there are people who would disagree with me 100%. But I'm like, okay, yeah, forget my native heritage that I have and background, so forth, which is only a small portion, but it's there, right? I can't claim Indian statehood or nothing like that. But as a human being on this planet, if you make a deal with somebody and you got it in writing, especially, a treaty kind of thing, and the big party, the other party, the government who claims eminent domain on a sovereign nation, and then you wonder why they get pissed off and want to shoot your ass. Look, there comes a government man. Pow, So that's not cooperation. You know what I mean? So, but hopefully the folks that are in there, like Pam Bondi and these other folks, the FBI folks who went out to Wounded Knee, and shot up a bunch of people and killed them. And then there's, oh my God, So the FBI is, Ruby Ridge. Woo, that's the one, Come on up to my place and you're on my property and I'm going to shoot you. I don't know who you are. You have not declared who you are. You've not shown a badge, but you have fired 3 shots at me. Now I'm going to shoot back. And if I wound you or kill you, I'm going to get charged for murder on my own property, defending my own place. And well, but he was a federal agent. I don't give a shit. He was shooting his gun at me. Ruby Ridge. Yeah. Wouldn't it be nice to see those files? Yeah. They shot the oldest boy or one of the boys on standing on the porch or something, because he was holding a shotgun, and it was a good ways up that the driveway, sort of like mine. My driveway's downhill to the house, and their driveway was uphill to the cabin, kind of thing, as I remember it. But and I know folks from up in the mountains, and you come up their driveway and you don't declare who you are, you're gonna get shot at. Period. You're gonna get shot at, or at least met with a shotgun. I know, because I was looking for a place to camp one night, and I drove down this road, and I seen this little sign, uh, uh, only a driveway or something, and I was like, "Oh, look at that!" And I kept driving, and Martha said, "No, no, 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 this is a drive," and I was like, "Well, we'll go around this curve right here and see what it looks like. Well, I'll back up," and there was no place to turn around at that spot. I said, I'll turn around and we'll drive back. Well, I didn't drive very far, and the driveway stopped. It was like 20-foot drop straight in front of me. So, but when I got out and started to pull back around, there was a guy with a shotgun standing there. "What the fudge are you doing on my property?" I was like, "It was a mistake. I'm very sorry. Please just let us turn around and go around. It's late. I'm tired. We thought there was a campsite down here. Just let us leave. We mean you no harm. It was simply an accident. You should put a chain up across there. But anyway, that was in North Carolina, by the way. So in the mountains, they don't fool around. So, but if you was to do that and defend your property, and it's the federal agents or somebody, why are they there? What business do they have? They could just come up and say, "Hey, we brought a bucket of chicken. Y'all want to come down here and have a picnic?" There's different ways of getting somebody's attention rather than buckshot. But the people who live there and the rule and creed that they live by, that they are pioneers on a level that most people don't understand. Now there are folks who defend their property in the city, understand. And this is my house, this is my little block right here, and I'm going to defend it. Okie dokie. But what if you got 12 acres or 20 acres or 100 acres? And it's yours. You've worked for it, and or it's been in the family for 200 years, and you're living on it. You have lived on it. Your ancestors have lived on it. That's the way it is on some of these places down here. And it's been willed to, guess who? Some black families down here in South Georgia and in North Florida. So there is an old population of black folk that own farms and houses and businesses here in this area. They ain't gonna give it up. And there was a war back in the day over it. They're fighting them damn white peoples. And so there have been conflicts over stuff for a long time. Why can't we just stop fighting? And if you're talking about Southerners, bring some chicken, or better yet, bring some ribs. You want to get folks to sit down and talk about something. Now you better bring some ribs. You better bring some sweet tea. You better bring some tater salad. Homemade tater salad is the best. Bring some tater salad, and maybe some baked beans and some ribs. And you say, "Y'all come on down here and eat with us." and have a chit chat. And then when you're done, sit back in the rocking chair and smoke you one and say, now, what do y'all want? That's a polite way of handling things. You know, just saying. So, as I'm doing this live, and it's what? Almost 4 o'clock. Dang, it is. It's almost 4 o'clock. And my battery's almost out. But I'll say this. If tomorrow this video it doesn't show up, it's because YouTube has declined to make it public. Even though I've got all the boxes clicked correctly, YouTube will decide that this video is not fit to go up there all the time. Y'all hanging out with me now, but that don't mean that this video is going to be here tomorrow. So, which means I'm going to do another video about that. And I'm seriously looking to see about what I got to do on Rumble. We had the deed outside of Abilene. Where did that go? From Spain before Mexico. If tomorrow never comes, would you know how much I love you? Well, yes, because I know today. So if I believe that you love me today, then I'll know how much you love me tomorrow. All right. So I'm going to do a 420 way early because my battery's out and I got to take my meds. And I got to use all the space and do all this stuff. I'll take my meds in a minute, right? But I do absolutely love you all and do pray. And having this little conversation, and, I'm trying to stir up common sense in people. Don't know who might watch this, right? Don't know if it's going to be available tomorrow, right? So it's like, okay, I'm at the mercy of YouTube. Okay. But the voices and opinions that I have discussed, had a couple ideas, I'm behind this person because I'm behind that person because, and you can watch this video made by this person and you can judge for yourself and whatever. But the idea, though, that the people that have been chosen have been vetted in ways I think that some folks won't understand. And through the podcast, internet, this medium, we got to know people, who they really are. And we made a decision, a lot of us, with our heart and with our mind, because we were able to see compassion in these people. Like when I didn't know who the hell Kash Patel was. I'd heard a little bit about Pete Hegseth because he was on Fox and stuff, I've heard a little bit about Pam, Bondi, because, she was working in Tallahassee as the AG. And, so I've heard of these folks, not necessarily, but, more just in passing. But then I get to watch them in a podcast like with Sean Ryan or Joe Rogan or, these folks. And they discuss things on an open, natural level. Natural level. Two people talking. Not really an interview, just two people talking. And to bring out discussions and feelings and, oh, how do you feel about that? Well, I thought about this, and I had a cousin that was killed by drugs, and and I just it's hard for me to want to legalize anything or decriminalize anything because I've seen how horrendous drugs can be, and why should we make it easier for people, or why should we give anybody a break, or why should, oh, so that's why you're so tough on crime and drugs, right? Yeah. Well, what about the addict? You know, don't you think we should be a little bit more sympathetic to the addict, maybe? Because they're addicted? There's a big thing about that. Versus the person who's selling it and bring it in, shouldn't there be a difference? They both are in the drug business, but one's on this end and the other one's on this end, you know. So, but do you want to, you know, send them both to jail for 20 years? Or should maybe the drug addict get a year and some probation and drug treatment? But the drug dealer, who's made $1 million off selling his stuff, he needs to stay in jail for 20 years. He needs to rot there. That should be the difference. Mr. Kennedy has a bill on the floor now that they're trying to get through that would take care of that. So we do have some sane people within our government. Except here's the issue. Are there enough sane people in this same government that will vote and go, yes, that's stupid. This guy's got 10 pounds of cocaine. This guy's got 10 grams of cocaine. The guy with 10 grams of cocaine goes to jail the same as the guy with 10 pounds. No. But they both had cocaine. Yeah. But this guy's got 10 pounds and this guy's got 10 grams. But they both had cocaine. Shut up. But they both had cocaine. Shut up. And by the way, whose cocaine was that in the White House? Was it really the laptop boy? Laptop boy. I think I just came up with that. Laptop boy, I'm a Biden, laptop boy, I'm half naked with a towel, laptop boy. But so getting crazy now, crazier. But so the truth is coming out. It is up to us to help explain stuff to some folks. Well, you got some explaining to do. Hey, Katniss, what? Most man-made ones are. Man-made ones what? But anyway, so be kind to your neighbors, even if they're jerks. You can avoid them and you can still smile and give a little wave, And try not to be cringy if you wave. Oh, Bernicia, is that you? I got my glasses off and my cataracts are getting worse and things are getting really fuzzy, John. I never misplaced mine. Yeah, that's true. Where's my cocaine? You don't know? That's true. But so the Dan Bongino thing, he's still pissed about the cocaine in the White House. Up a couple of at the end of the year and last year. But he still has mentioned, the cocaine in the White House thing. And Where was the Secret Service during this time? Because he used to work for the Secret Service. He was on detail with the president. He was in the White House. He was. So this guy knows his business. Whatever the news might say that he doesn't have the expertise, the hell he don't. For example, as I smoke this with you all, yes, ma'am, I will. But Bongino, as he explained, he said, one of my jobs at certain times was, my job was to pick out the route where the president's motorcade was going to go, and to make sure that certain spots were covered, and to make, and so, because one of the commentators has said, Bongino has no experience in planning with large groups. Then he's like, how many Secret Service does it take, and how many local guards does it take to plan a motorcade for the president and for it to be successful, and for it to go off without a hitch and blah, blah. And so, no, he's not qualified, but he has planned motorcade routes for the president, and more than once. Do you know how hard that is? Oh, but he has no experience in dealing with the FBI or, anybody. You got to coordinate it with the FBI, and you have to coordinate it with local officials, and you have to state government. And what do you mean you never coordinated? You don't know what this guy's, so is he qualified? Oh, yeah. And by the way, cutesy time is over. Oh, Dan would appreciate that. By the way, cutesy time is over, because that's one of his phrases. But it's true. So y'all hang in there. And there were folks before this happened that said, he had to lose last time so that everybody would see how bad it was in this last 4 years. And I mentioned about this kid who was interviewed with Roseanne Barr last year-ish, about last summer, and that he talked about how this was a big plan, and that the only way that they could convince the American public was to show them how bad it really is. And so now that Trump's in and he's chosen all these people, and now that all of these things are coming to real light, people they can't handle the truth. That can't be true. The FBI said this, yeah, but they lied to you. This is the real truth. Yeah, but you're a conspiracy theorist. Yeah, but here's my conspiracy. And now that I'm deputy director, here are all the files for that conspiracy. Now, y'all want to see them? Come on. We're going to have a little TV program here, because I used to work in the business. Now, interview me and I'll tell you what it's like. He can be interviewed, he just can't make money at it or, do it on his own. But I could interview him if I could get in touch with him, understandably. But he can't, he can't actively do it until he resigns from his position, whenever that may be in the future. that I don't know if deputy directors have term limits, but anyway. But the idea that there are people, this thing too, the news keeps out that Dan Bongino is loyal to Trump. And you can tell so by his podcast. Okay, they keep saying this. Tulsi Gabbard has become a Trump supporter before the election now, right? Before she was appropriated to anything, she decided to swap sides. And now it's like, well, wait a minute, y'all had this planned out. And Tulsi has said, no, I did not know until after the election, until after certain other things. But no, I did not know that I was being considered. And then I knew, and then I was. And so it's like, but wait a minute. So these people, Tulsi Gabbard was on a special watch list, and they would make her strip to get on an airplane when she was actually had worked for the government. She's actually a major in the reserve, in the Army. And she's, wait a minute. And because somebody in the Biden administration didn't like her, they put a special watch on her. So she has to go through all this extra crap when actually she should have a pass that says, come on in. Instead, they put her over in the corner and make her take her shoes off and do all this other stuff. They wander and all the, and it's like they go through her clothes and it's like, what? And now she's in charge of the national national security, council thing. She's in charge of all of it now. She can have those people's jobs at the TSA if she wanted. But to the point though, how ironic things are. So, but the people on the outside looking in are going to go, I heard Tulsi Gabbard was on a watch list. And now she's in charge. We got to watch out for that bitch. She was on a watch list. You heard that, didn't you? Tulsi Gabbard was on a watch list. Okay. And Joe Biden should be in jail, at least in a nursing home somewhere. And to stay in the nursing home, you don't get to go flying around anymore, Joey. You're going to have to stay here for your crimes and misdemeanors and so forth. And by the way, your wife's going to join you. Yeah, Jill, she's going to be wearing an ankle bracelet that is not going to be fit her dressing, and yep. So anyway, so in the area of justice with all these 44,000, so they don't come back to work, is that justice for them? Well, I don't like Trump. Okay, do you feel better now that you didn't come back to work? I'm just asking, by not coming back to work, did you make your point? Or were you scared shitless because you might have been involved in something and you're really skittish about it? And you've decided that maybe if I just stay home, nobody will know. And if I don't answer the email, nobody will know. And if they quit sending me checks, maybe they won't look for me. And then nobody will know. We'll see, right? How it goes. 44,000. That's a bunch of FBI agents. You got a job, guys. Go find out where these checks went. you know? Um, so I think that the real crimes are those kind of crimes where people in Catholic churches were being monitored because Pope wanted to know, by the way, and the cardinals. They should be arrested too, but so um, the people of the 44,000 who don't come back to work, who used to, that means there's information on them. Okay, you need people to go out and check if they still live there. Hi there, are you Ruby Jones? Yes, I am. Well, Ruby, I'm from the federal government, and I want to know what the hell you've been doing for the last 4 years. And where's all that money that the government sent you? What'd you spend it on? Is that an in-ground pool in your backyard? Is that a new Bentley that you have in the driveway? Is that an aeroplane that you have in your backyard? So they should check some of these 44,000. Where did the money go? Follow the money, right? That's always the rule. So give some of them FBI agents a job. Just like Kash Patel said, they should send them out into the field and they should be cops and policemen like they're supposed to be. That's what he said in that interview with Sean Ryan. And then that's when he said, then we could just turn the FBI building into a museum, because he would send everybody out into the field. So that was one thing he didn't lie about, but he wouldn't comment about it when the Senate, when them people were trying to pin it on him. He did say it, but you had to listen to the whole context. He's going to send all of the agents out across America, meaning there wouldn't be anybody there in the building, meaning then it could be a museum. Not that he was going to change, but that is what he said. But he did mean by sending out all the agents. So they were just taking this one little section of it. So he wouldn't comment on it at all, which I thought, oh, buddy, wait till you get in there and you really start doing that. Do you have an active file on Adam Schiff? I can't comment on that. I don't have anything on anybody. I don't. Do you have a list, Mr. Patel? List. He's got a list in his head of who's done bad things since he was involved in the National Intelligence Office the last time he worked for President Trump. So his list of people that he knows goes way back. And so it's going to be damned interesting to watch how this unfolds. So March 14th is the last day for Dan Bongino, and then he gets to go get sworn in. It'll be interesting to see how much we hear about him after he gets in and from him. So does it matter? I think it does. And why do I think it matters to you and me, the lonely peons? Is because to see this story unfold is the greatest I won't say conclusion, but in a way, the greatest conclusion to some of these conspiracies, right? that any of this will see in a lifetime. I mean, just the fact that there will be people in the FBI who will just tell us the truth. That's all. Now, like some of us said, well, if we see that it's going to harm somebody, we might, reserve that. But, there are things that the FBI won't even let Congress see or the president, which, but, if you didn't want to release it to the general public, but everybody in Congress and the president knew. Now, that would be, that would be acceptable to me. And the president and all the Congress guys, they all sat around and go, we've looked at this and we'd like to release it. But, if you really want to look at it, come to Washington. We'll show it to you. But other than that, we're not going to release it to the general public. But we're letting you know that it's here. We're letting you know that we've seen it. We'll let you know what it's about. And so that's as transparent at the moment as we're going to be, but we're not going to broadcast it. Okay. Would you accept that? Terms of secrecy, We have to be able to compromise, and we got to be able to learn how to figure out how to compromise. So, my dear friends, I love you. I continue to pray that each and every day, that each and every one of you will continue to learn how to accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, the wisdom, and the many blessings from the universe. And if you can figure out why them 44,000 don't want to go back to work, I think they know something. I think that they feel like they've been part of something and they don't want to, go back to it. Thank you, Chloe. I'm fixing to take my meds, a promise. Well, here's one right here. I'll start right here with this one. There's so many different judges and things and stuff going on. And there's some of these Congress people that are actually like, let's go, get on the streets with a gun. And, Elon is, they sent somebody out to look at this guy because he'd made a threat. And if you listen to what he said, it sounded like a threat to me. And I'd want to send somebody around to their house and go, you should not say things like that. Turn off your video and say it to yourself or your friends in the room. But if you broadcast that kind of thing over the airwaves, we're absolutely going to consider you wanted to take guns to the street and shoot Elon Musk and kill him. That's what you said. And you say we should not come to your house and just let it slide. Well, so there's going to be some people who are going to be very surprised. But here's the thing. I bet you there are some of you who know people or have heard of people who've had the FBI or the Secret Service show up because somebody says something about President Biden or Kamala. And there are people who are like, wait, I said something in my podcast. I didn't really mean that she should die, but you said it. And then now the ATF is like, knock, knock, knock. Hey, you said such and such on your podcast. Come with me, boy. We're going to fingerprint you and we're going to harass you and we're going to make sure you don't say that shit again. And that's happened. It has been happening, And, just a lot of stuff just don't make it to the airways, right? But it has been happening, and at one time, there were several times a day, somebody was saying something in a podcast and somebody was rounding over to the house going, no, no, no. So is that important? Yeah. People should be more careful in how they say stuff, especially if you're talking about the president. You might not like him or whatever you say. one of these days, I'd just like to tussle it out with him. Or one of these days, you know, don't threaten people, If we was youngins, we could duke it out. But anyway, I love you, my dear friends. And I do continue to pray each and every day that each and every one of you will continue to learn how to accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, the wisdom, and the many blessings from the universe. And what do we take out of all this? There's 44,000 job openings. Apply now. And they're one of the cabinet members said that they're being flooded with applications of people who want to come and work, and it's like, good deal. So can you trust those people? Oh, that's what I want to close up with. All these TV stations saying, Kash Patel and Dan Bongino, just another example of Trump picking loyalists for his cabinet and other positions. Hey, dumbass, to every commentator who has used these phrases, of course you would use the people who are dedicated to you and your cause, would you pick? You wouldn't pick the bum at the end of the street who thinks you are an asshole. You wouldn't pick somebody over there and blah, blah, blah. No, you would pick someone who is loyal to you, dumbass. Of course he would pick a loyalist, but they say it like it's a bad word. So you got to tell people when you're sitting around, they picked another loyalist. Just go, yeah, of course. Who is he supposed to pick? Somebody that hates his guts? No, he's going to pick a loyalist, dumbass. Well, there's this judge down the road. He's a really good judge, but he hates Donald Trump. You should hire him. No, sorry. No, this guy over here, at least he likes me. I'm going to pick him over the guy that hates my guts. I'm going to pick the guy that sort of likes me, and right behind him is somebody that really likes me and voted for me for instance. So, I've got a fairly good like and a heavy duty like versus a guy that hates me. Which one do I pick? I mean, what is wrong with these dickheads? And that means the ladies too. Trump has picked another loyalist to join his cabinet and his, of course he would pick them. No, let's see. There are a bunch of Somali pirates just offshore the Gulf of America, and he's going to choose among these Somali pirates to be in his cabinet. Somali Wally. I mean, you've got a Somali congressperson in Ilhan Omar thingy, and she's talking about all of these things. This thing's fixing to shut off. I gotta say goodbye. But she's been talking about all these things. It's like, oh my God, she's not even an American citizen, but she was looking, but anyway. So I continue to pray that each and every day, that each and every one of you will continue to be wise in your old age or young age or whatever age. Use some wisdom and some common sense. when you see people going off the rails, just you could laugh and snicker and go, there goes another one. Look, look, Margaret, there goes another one. Somebody said, they was going to say something about something, and just to watch, just to, just to watch the Democrats' heads explode, and it was like, not really, but figuratively, and the guy who did it was funny as hell, because he had made a comment about what would drive him over what right now would drive the Democrats over the edge, and it was something, and then that would be enough, and everybody was laughing. But then to make it really bad, I would add this to it, and just so I'd watch their pinheads explode. I was like, yeah, let's go get them, tribe. So have a good one. I got to find the off button here. And we'll see you soon, I hope. Maybe one of these days I'll really get to use the computer instead of this little machine here. But at least I get to talk to you still. So I love you. Bye.